have to wait and see, but LCDF currently sit on that threshold that teams are looking to stay in. 17 points, that is the cutoff there for the top 10, so they cannot be safe here.
Really solid shots from aimbot again, reverting back to that iron sight on 30-30. It looks like the loot pool has been pretty heavily impacted because I'm not seeing a whole lot of 3Xs or even 2x4s on 30-30s as you'd normally expect to see. It's actually, what is your personal preference, Tiff? I'm a 3X guy.
I like the bruiser. I know that I'm not usually like
2X.
an anchor. Yeah, just the 2X, the bruiser. It's what I like to put on my ARs. I'll put it on a 30-30. If I have a G7 Scout, sometimes I'll dabble with the 3X, but in no short supply is going to be Riddle Order there in the IMC Armory, getting that smart loot and benefiting from it. They will have to fight their way in, as they are one of our further southernmost teams. And Disguised, though, speaking of fighting, had found themselves just smack dab in between two teams.
Definitely a squad that can reach a lot higher highs today. Disguised was at the top of a lot of people's rankings coming into this elimination bracket. They also, much like Pulverex, actually have not had a good time so far. Their movement up towards the next ring will be a little bit more difficult, as their main problem is not just the teams that are rotating with them, like Pulverex and the last member of 100 Thieves, but Licite de France in front of them. That's where Disguised would really like to play.
You can see the member of Disguised wrapping around, but you know what Vaxlon's trying to do? He wants to get to Launchpad and hit the crafting because they can get the banners back and get a full reset. Sometimes I forget that Gibraltar is a support character and has the ability to do that. So Pulverex, though, have already moved into that, looking for that next zone information. Now, what you can see, it is going to be a Stormcatcher ending, and a lot of teams can occupy that small space in all the different nooks and crannies, but you want to maintain that high ground.
Nice couple shots out of Pulverex. And as you said, it is just the last member of 100 Thieves. Vax will be able to survive for now. But the shots from Pulverex could very well alert other teams that are rotating through the area. Many of our southern-based squads have started moving up, following suit over what Disguised have currently taken as their rotate. And actually, we may very well see some more fights break out on that very same move. For Pulverex, they've got the Crafter. Other teams have got to fight for position.
Fight your way in, and it's going to be Disguised gatekeeping Riddle Order. Yukia and Miyake both losing out on their shields. Now, as long as Disguised maintains the power position over Riddle Order, they should be able to put enough pressure down. But by knowing that there's 8 seconds before that zone starts to push, and they want to get into those buildings on that eastern side of Stormcatcher and be able to hold them out there, that's exactly what they're doing. They're like, where do we want to play from?
And again, Riddle go for a rotate, get cut off, and have to go back the worst way. Their late rotations are really not doing them any favors when they're not willing to fight. Instead, they've got to take the route from Disguised earlier, putting them straight in the sights of Licite de France. For Complexity in a, I'll say, different spot for now. They've got a few other teams to go through, but a rotation that's going to be a lot less heavily gate-kept, as not many teams will choose to rotate in from the western side.
Yeah, that's so tough, though. Riddle Order, they're so good at fighting, and I would rather see them take that risk against Disguised versus wrapping around down south, where we know a lot of those teams are going to get congested.
It's going to be an uphill fight either way. That's the unfortunate part. Complexity take a pretty even one. Bangalore ult a nice response to the Catalyst wall they see in front of them. It's a matter of stalling out a team, waiting for the zone to finish closing, seeing if anyone makes a mistake. But Complexity cannot move forward until they eliminate this squad. And so the 40 chunk that comes out of Monsoon will be a nice opener. And that with a Digi can very well end your life.
Oh, Monsoon trying to stay alive, but does get caught out by ILY. Does go to Cody. Luda looking to pick up the slack for the team. They've already got the crack. We just need to land one more, and Enter Force 36 will fall. Match 3 winners coming in here strong, now breaking that threshold of 30 points. Just a little bit of punching to get him out of that line of sight and go for a clean res, and Cody electing to drop the shield swap for the quick reset.
And as we'd illustrated, not a whole lot of teams choose to rotate up this way. It's a difficult move, so Complexity get the benefit of an isolated 3v3 as a result. Teams, unfortunately, that have chosen to move up, like go next into Area 310, have to fight that high to low ground battle, but Slab's found a creative answer, almost takes down a member. And unfortunately, has to stall this one out a little longer. The spot's revealed now, and it'd be risky to stay up here without taking a bat.
Bambino gonna make quick work of the black hole. That really didn't do too much for them, but Musi is going to get caught out trying to get behind the fence line, but not before going down to approximately 5 HP. Oslab and Bambino need to cover the fire, and they're trying to do so. But when you smoke and you don't have a digi threat, this is pure defense in pushing off. But Area 310 have taken to the high ground, have maintained their health, and will continue to put the pressure on.
It's not about the kills anymore. With the push, Go Next are honestly as good as dead. So many other teams have lines of sight onto this squad now, and it's a matter of waiting. Area 310 just have to keep from making a mistake and continue to lay down the pressure, and eventually someone else will help them take care of Go Next. In fact, somebody else is already helping as Jailings were taking shots at them.
Well, that's the issue, right? As we push down this hill towards Stormcatcher, you can already see the shots coming from the roof and inside of Stormcatcher, so they're just going to be, like you said, in all of those different teams' lines of sight. And Riddle Order, who had taken forward that southernmost wraparound, have now found the remnants of the newly revived 100 Thieves team. Vaxon was able to navigate into Launchpad, craft the banners, hit a full res, but will they be able to keep going? Because Area 310, they're pushing the issue. They've got the knock onto Bambino, and they will keep moving forward.
Could have been a crack, could have been a knock, could have been anything, but a momentary bit of weakness lets Area 310 know that it's their time to push. Quick finish, and yet, even still, those shots that you were talking about from the roof over in Stormcatcher caused complications. A delayed reset started by Lemon gives other teams like Jailings the opportunity to move up. They've continued to lay in some damage, but I'd rather see Jailings stay here. They have a zone coming to them. They know they can weaken this team in front, Area 310, but it's much better to farm up your Evo shields and hold on to where you're at.
Now that we've seen the end of that engagement there, we do know that Riddle Order was able to take out 100 Thieves on that southernmost side. Now they have completely cleared out their backs, but must worry about what holds the western front and the eastern front. But Jailings, they're working on the north beyond the wall.
Fortunately enough, they have Watson. That means generators, that means extra shields, and Nags won't need to spend as many shield cells as they otherwise might in order to get back to full. The decision to stay around here and stick 2 of them so far is just to stay a little more active. Kick, speaking of activity, try and make their presence felt on top of Stormcatcher, but are getting pushed and taken out by Aurora. That's a 2v3. That is a wonderful fight from Aurora.
That's what you do when you are just confident in your duo's ability. You're like, I know we have the firepower to make this happen. You focus on the position, and now with them safely into Stormcatcher, we'll have to worry about all the teams that are trying to rotate in, as Riddle Order is now starting to back around on where Element 6 had previously been. The Dark Veil coming out, but the Digi threat is doing the work.
Yukio's Digi was farming, but the weird thing is that they don't actually finish off that team. Element 6 is still behind them, and now Riddle are sandwiched. This decision to peel off Element 6 after having dealt them so much damage could kill them. And it's a nice smoke and hopefully a double back as Lecite de France start getting involved, watching Element 6 rotate away.
But the fact that Element 6 was able to go just a little bit further south and say, you know what, we don't really want a part of this. We're going to try to rotate out. We understand that LCDF has high ground on us and will follow us throughout our rotation, but they're going to need to swing all the way out and try to get around. But this is just going to free up Riddle Order to have a free rotation to safety.
Exactly. It's just one foot, then the other. First it's Riddle dealing with Element 6, then it's LCDF. None of the teams getting to truly fight each other, but finally Element 6 getting to move up onto the high ground. Riddle have foregone all of that, taking to the skies and likely finding a good rotation into zone. We know the trouble with Valkyrie ults though. It's not getting them off, it's landing them.
Let's see exactly where Riddle is looking to call out. You can see all the teams' locations landing smack dab in the middle. If this is free and they have a team above them, but they are okay for now. You can see Gombareo Tosan just on top of Stormcatcher. Fnatic has made their way just to the highest of the highs, and they will have a nice angle on everyone. But the issue with this being said is Sky Nades, Bangalore ults, all of the chaos, Jailings amongst the midst of it.
And Jailings are pressed right up against DSG. Disguised are looking for blood, and you know that they've got the fragging power to do it. Good angle so far as well. As soon as a little bit of opening damage comes in, they are going to send it. Speaking of sending it, we've got the Seed de France pushing up onto the high ground.
The 1v2 for Aurora, and you can see they are flesh as they are trying to get him, and they will. Aurora will fall, but not before losing out on a member of LCDF, who are now relegated to a duo. Area 310 holding that top left position. I don't hate it. They're staying safe and maintaining, putting out more damage than they're taking.
I'm really impressed that they were even able to make it all the way here. We prefaced this earlier. The J-Ling squad was always on a timer. With Disguise so close to them, Duke takes the first knock, and it's a matter of keeping the pressure up. Area 310 will be able to join in given time as well, and J-Lings are wiped out casually by Disguised.
With so many aggressive compositions in the lobby, J-Lings are having so much difficulty with that Watson, with the Crypto, but no stranger to fighting will be none other than North Eption, who are looking to mirror the rotation and the initial push that Area 310 did. They smack dab right into the middle prior to J-Lings being eliminated, and North Eption now maintaining the building.
Disguised, great spot. Position where they could win the game from. This little ridge provides a lot of safety, and the most important thing for Disguised is going to be outputting pressure onto other teams, keeping their spot from being the first one to be pushed. Area 310, one of their biggest threats right now, with a small angle that could very well let them take out Disguised. As the map gets split by a catalyst wall, we've got so many teams clamoring for position in what will soon be the final zone.
Well, that's Element 6 over there. They throw out the Dark Veil Slayers. You can see it goes down in the distance. They were vying for Riddle Order's positioning, who have been able to maintain, but now Geo with the late rotation from the tops of Stormcatcher, everything is breaking out. Multiple Veils, multiple grab lifts, Leica, 1 HP and a Dream. North Eption leaving the building, trying to survive, and Ling appears to be the last one.
Complexity are doing great right now, playing right underneath. They're catching so many teams by surprise, farming up so much KP. 5 kills alone have been picked up in the course of the last few minutes, and they have yet to drop a member. But as they start moving up into Riddle, Complexity are damaged. They're being shot from above. MDY are contributing, and they've lost Monsoon. MDY drop to finish the squad and take the engagement with a second. Riddle Order fight for their lives, but MDY have the tools to take them out. LQ takes a quick reset. Gibraltar Bubble still around. And, importantly, the shield swaps keep MDY in it. Fantastic execution from them.
The fact that Disguised is still alive, still in it, doesn't matter what utilities you take to the grab lift, prioritize your healing, evade from the abilities, and play this ridgeline that you were saying, this is a game-winning spot. Can they stave off a little bit longer? Pulverex had fallen. We're down to the final 3. MDY White, Fnatic on your right, and Disguised to the north.
You can actually take control right now, because the balance of power has shifted. Fnatic have so much put on Disguised that MDY have a good chance of being able to manufacture a win. Umi-chan is isolated, and again, DSG is taking up so much attention. Fnatic, having so much respect, are taking the wide swing, forcing DSG into MDY, and it's going to be the thing that changes this game.
The fact that Disguised have full sent MDY White puts Fnatic in the power position. They can just push straight into the gimme bubble. Okay, Yuka, we see you.
Nice.
Able to grab a knock. Now to the final 2 squads. MDY White in front of them. I believe in a Yuka supremacy. I believe in Fnatic.
I don't know if you can hear them, but the crowd is going crazy for Fnatic. They have so many fans in the arena, and seeing them take that engagement, as we said, the balance of power was so shifted, and as soon as DSG give in to Fnatic, understand they can no longer hold that position, they're punching in Fnatic's hands.
To be honest, we saw them hitting a couple sit-ups early on prior to this series, getting their stretching in. They were just warming up. They are here to play. They are ready, and honestly, they were my pick for a reason, Dia.
An understandable pick. After 4 games, they've certainly been one to at least guarantee that they will not be dropping today after a win like that. and the performances that they've already had, this should be enough to keep them safe. But for that, we have a few more maps on World's Edge that can still change even teams like Fnatic's fate.
That is true. You are not safe. As we saw yesterday in groups when we were deciding the fate for our teams to hit the winner's bracket or the elimination round one, even after Pulverex had won 2 matches, they still found themselves competing here today. But congratulations to Fnatic. You were sitting just outside the top 5, still safe, but this is what you needed to really enact on that consistency.
And a lot of teams have managed to get positions like this. KCP, Complexity, and FC Destroy joining Fnatic in the couple of teams, the very few teams that are privileged enough to have won a game. That's exactly what I'm talking about. After that game, after watching Yuka's movement, I am very, very happy with seeing such a mechanically gifted squad that a lot of people have high expectations for come out on top and push themselves one day further.
One day further, one more dream, but the end of the week is going to be upon us before we even know it. We'll have match point finals on Sunday. Let's run back the final circle where that balance of power shifted, because Fnatic, the amount of space they were able to occupy, the amount of pressure that Yuka is able to apply forward just by bouncing up and down and shooting, they knew, Disguise knew.
And Graceful actually talked about this on the analyst desk, but a big factor here is not just Fnatic's pressure, but how quickly the zone is closing. It's going to push Disguised out well before it pushes Fnatic or MDY. So they are the team that does have to make first move. Choosing not to push Fnatic is just a matter of, I suppose, what they want to do, what they feel comfortable doing. MDY do get taken a little bit off guard, but it's still Disguised having taken so much harassment from Fnatic that ultimately opens the door for this team that played really well, took a good position, even took out Pulverex to get here to finish off with a win. A 20-point game, and MDY certainly impressing by even beating them.
That's so really cool to do. We saw so many engagements that MDY White were able to occupy, but you think about where they land in Stormcatcher. For all the teams that are rotating in, they were just sitting there picking them off. So to hit double digits that early on with an impressive 22 points is very nice. And Disguise on 10, but Riddle.
I was gonna say, where are my Riddle fans at? Literal and figurative. Finishing in 5th place here. This is one of Riddle's best games so far, and I mean that from a points perspective as well as from an actual macro perspective. Being pushed into that suboptimal rotation that we talked about, they somehow managed to wrestle away control of the southwestern side of this zone and control teams like Element 6, pushing Element 6 to a 12th place finish with just a few points, mostly coming from kills.
It's actually not too bad, though. They came into this match sitting on 25 points, so now they've hit that 30-point threshold, but will that be enough? I feel like they need a match win with at least 15 points to really feel a little bit more safe. Because it is the elimination round 1, you're never safe. And for our teams that are going out here on a little bit of a donut point game, we have to know you've got to answer back. But as we see, the Fnatic fans in the crowd, and 8 eliminations, 4,200 damage for them. Honestly, I keep saying it, I need to go get myself a Fnatic jersey. They are super sick. The moment they dropped the champions jerseys, I was like, that is impressive.
I'll go with you.
Honestly, yeah.
It is well worth it. Fnatic have not just had fans in APAC North representing them, but ever increasingly all around the world, with holding 2nd place after we finished the first couple of rounds. They've put themselves in a safe position, and I'm not afraid to say it. We will be seeing Fnatic in tomorrow's games. For now, it's a matter of time and of holding on for teams like Complexity, Fnatic, MDY, FC Destroy, and perhaps even the Pioneers. You're now thinking about how you can play your best game of Apex Legends. It's not necessarily about farming KP anymore. It's about making sure that you can clinch wins, especially for a team like Northemption, who's included in here, who has yet to win a game today.
They'll have to put one together. LCDF, that threshold, that 10th place cutoff, but only 2 points separate them. But that's it for Spider, Tiff, and Dia. We're gonna go hit the desk for a little bit of analysis later on, but we're done here in the booth, and we're gonna cut to a quick break. So when we come back, you're gonna have your 4 games on World's Edge.
WD Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everybody, to Resorts World Arena here in Birmingham for the Apex Legends Global Series Championships. And now we have 4 games remaining in our elimination bracket round 1 to find out who will survive and who will have to go home.
It means we're moving from Stormpoint over to the very familiar World's Edge, which of course is always going to be those who are better at World's Edge now have their chance to start picking up some points and maybe get closer to that elimination bracket round 2.
Now this is where the tension really starts to step up for the teams. We've seen some of our bigger names really come forward. Fnatic with such an important win in that last game that we saw on Stormpoint, and just revitalizing them, giving them that confidence to really try and turn what has been a little bit of a tumultuous tournament around for them so far. But Fnatic looking good, Complexity with a big win as well. The question is, will World's Edge change that narrative? And we'll see some more teams come to the fore.
Yeah, Complexity on top at the moment, but I'm going to be looking at teams like J-Lings, for example, who have been far better at World's Edge throughout this tournament and a lot of previous tournaments. Maybe Stormpoint might not be their thing, but with 4 in a row on World's Edge, you'd be expecting teams who do prefer that map to start to step things up now.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how things do get stepped up for certain teams. And like we said in the intro there, a little bit unfortunate that we are the ones who have to send some teams home as well. It's 4 more games, and it might be the end of the tournament for some of these teams. For 10, though, the road will continue. Here is your map rotation and your winners if you're just joining us from the Stormpoint games we saw. FC Destroy winning match number 1. Pioneers without winning match number 2. Complexity and Fnatic, like I just mentioned, rounding out 3 and 4. But now we change maps. Now we change the tempo as we head over to World's Edge.
Yeah, the teams that we're looking at that are kind of on the bubble at the moment. You've got La Cite de France, Riddle Order, and Enter Force 36. They're the teams that everyone's going to be targeting to try and catch up. But then below that, those who are really struggling and really need to perform on World's Edge, J-Lings, 100 Thieves, Pulverex, and Gambale Artisan. These 4 squads have to step up, and they have stepped up on World's Edge, but it has to continue here today.
Yeah, a lot of focus for me on J-Lings, and not just the spots that they get, but how do they control that space around them. So many times we see them getting good priority and quick rotate to zone. Sometimes leaving the loop behind to make sure they can hold down a spot, but it's all about if they can demand and control the space around it, not just the building that they reside in themselves. World's Edge, of course, poses a different challenge to these 20 teams, and knowing that you've only got 4 games ahead of you, Dan, that completely changes also how you're thinking as a team. Thinking that you might need to put some extra points on, starting to think about KP being the thing that sends you through to the next round. Everything is about to change here, and that pressure is going to get ramped up.
And we'll have to see whether we do see a contest happening on World's Edge. The potential again for MDY White and 100 Thieves. Now 100 Thieves, I've said, really need to get some points here on World's Edge, and if they can do so, we might see them progress. But having a contest is never going to help you, right? It's never going to put you in that spot where you're thinking, okay, we're confident on this map. It's going to be tough for them. They have to win those engagements.
Well, just while we wait for the lobby to be ready and the players to be comfortable on our main stage here, I want to talk about that good-looking man on your stage right now, Monsoon. I mean, what a moment it was earlier. Song to open it up today to really get the crowd going. Such a talented man. What a game today. Obviously, this was the reaction, of course, when he heard his song being played. Look at this, Kim Chi Lee behind him as well. I say behind him, in front of him, bowing down to him.
Quite rightly so as well. Magnificent voice. When I did hear it, I didn't actually realize it was Monsoon initially, and then when you told me, I was blown away. Such an incredible talent, not only with a mouse and keyboard, but also with his vocal cords. So good to see that we've got so many amazing talents, and it was great to just see the reaction, really, and how much it meant to him.
Yeah, so be a pretty amazing moment, bringing the community and some of the talents away from the mouse and keyboard, the PC, whatever it might be, to show that it's more than just Apex Legends for some of these characters and amazing people that we have involved in the scene. Smiles on the face of Monsoon, an amazing moment for sure. But now it's got to refocus a little bit here, Dan. Complexity have been so quiet up until today, of course. And that win, that's going to do wonders for them moving forwards.
It will, and they are a team who's been pretty consistent across both maps. I don't think they'll be too disappointed to be transitioning from Stormpoint to World's Edge like some others might. They are actually one of the most even that we have out of anyone in this lobby. So I think that bodes pretty well. And when you look across success in general in the ALGS, it is usually the teams that can find points on both maps that get themselves into those final lobbies. So we'll have to see whether Complexity can be one of those teams, but they're looking in pretty good nick right now. First place, it's about every other team trying to catch them up rather than them playing catch up.
Certainly is indeed. And let me tell you, the stands are filling up second by second here in Birmingham as well. The crowd are certainly getting behind their respective teams as well. And it's about time for them to do so once more here, because match 5 is just around the corner. We are into our Legend Select.
Elimination round 1 always does throw a little spanner in the works, because this is now panic time for every squad. Last 4 games, do or die. If you find yourself in the lower 10 teams here, you are done. You are out of the competition. Are we going to see anyone throw some questionable legend selections? I do see a Caustic in the lobby. Maybe Lemon can do some damage in those final moments in Area 310, just like he did yesterday, and we saw how it was influenced. But you've got to get to that final circle first. You need to make sure you get to that position on the map.
Well, just to give you an update on how the standings are, I'm sure you know at home yourselves if you're watching and you're supporting your favourite teams, as well as everybody who's here in the arena. The team at the moment who's holding down 10th place, Dan, Le Cid de France, doing it for Europe at the moment. They are the gatekeepers of qualification.
Yeah, Le Cid de France on 21 points, followed closely though by Riddle Order on 19, Go Next on 17, and Pulverex also on 17. And Le Cid de France, a very successful World's Edge team so far in the group stages. Around about 261 damage. They do more on World's Edge than they do on Stormpoint, but it's about those placements that they've been able to find. They are consistently getting to the later stages of the game, but of course now you're going to get more of an opportunity to get late games with some of the bigger, heavy hitters into that winner's bracket.
Well, starting off with the winner of our last game, and understandably so, a little gold backpack to start your game. That's certainly going to be a nice little addition to the inventory. But Fnatic, we mentioned how it was almost a surprise. We were talking about this. How it was a surprise that they were down in this elimination side of our bracket and having to fight their way back. They've almost been a mainstay in our grand finals when we do get to the Sunday at these big, big LAN events. But that win in the last game, seeing you could do what he does best, moving around, smoothing around, outplaying everybody. Now they head into World's Edge, I should say, and they are going to be feeling good because it just takes one win to turn that momentum around.
I think that I saw a lot of discussion on social media about APAC North and why they're struggling so much, and I saw it described as an identity issue. There's a lot of fights for POIs, there's a lot of struggles where they're trying to compete with, you know, the North Americans who have dominated some of these bigger and better POIs. Once we had the Ring Console and Survey Beacon changes, and some of the POIs got way better when those changes came through, you do have to start trying to put your foot down a little bit. You do have to start competing for some of these.
Well, let's take a look at Zone then. Let's see where we're going on World's Edge. It's looking like we might be heading just north of staging, maybe down to the little buildings at the bottom of the waterfall with the geysers. For now, though, there's a couple of teams trying to make that quick rotate. One of them you can see at the top of your screen. That's going to be Pioneers and Le Cid de France. Keep your eyes on the left-hand side of that little logo you can see next to their name. They are the gatekeepers, like I say, in that final qualification spot. If they can hold that down, till the end of today. Well, we'll see them tomorrow.
But it sounds simple. With 4 games, that is a lot of points to be secured, and it's going to be slightly different to yesterday when it was just playing the 6. Let's go next. Looking to try and get aggressive and try and push up on any damage they were able to output, but it looks like they're going to back off from that fight. Evac Tower's going to go down, and it'll be about repositioning here.
Yeah, they're trying to get ahead of the traffic at the moment. You see 100 Thieves just beating them on their rotate, but they have to be very aware of MDY White, who are just having a little peek through the choke from Harvester to see if anything went down that they might be able to take advantage of. Speaking of going down, Bambino's got to be very careful here. Maybe just take an extra second to pop a shield batter or a couple of cells to make sure that he can cross this tunnel alongside his teammates. Elsewhere, you can see, using the catwalk to get through there, Kick have just made their rotation as well, and Kick Esports are going to be uncontested this time over at Lava Siphon, which is good news for them.
Yeah, I was looking at it at the start of the day, and Kick uncontested on both maps. You don't have you don't have TSM, and you don't have the Dojo. So you've got 2 very solid POIs to work with if you are Kick. Now, granted, they didn't have the best of times over on Storm Point from the wall, but at Lava Siphon, you feel like they should be picking up enough points here, at least to get into elimination round 2.
Well, Noise is doing a little bit of recon here on the drone, just to see what the surrounding traffic is looking like. You can also see maybe he might have just picked out there might be a fight breaking out. Go Next under a little bit of pressure. Does manage to keep that drone alive for just a few seconds, but it's actually going to be Pioneers who are holding out Go Next, who are sandwiched between Pioneers and Jailings in this tunnel. So Go Next at the moment, all dressed in white, just the white armors to play with. Have to be extremely careful, but it looks like Jailings don't have that armor check information. They're not going to risk anything too early on with just 4 games to go here.
We spoke about Kick and how they're desperately trying to stay alive. The Dark Veil's gone down just to keep them at bay here. Make sure they can avoid that vision that is happening from the other side of the train cart. But speaking of vision, there's nothing to be said for it. Smokes go down, they try and escape, but I don't think there's going to be too much damage done. This one's just going to be a slow burner of a fight while this Dark Veil's still up.
Yeah, Kick in a pretty good spot for the end game here. If they can hold down these tracks, it's always a pretty good spot to play if you can hold out anyone rotating in from the staging side. Pioneers playing the truck. Always fills me with anxiety when I see someone inside one of these trucks. Yeah, you can hold it down for quite some time, but we talk about how Fuse is such an impactful character now, impactful legend here on World's Edge. You have to be so aware of those knuckle clusters coming in, of teams trying to push you with that horizontal. Once again, I can sound like a broken record, but it's not just about controlling the truck. It's about controlling the space around and making sure that teams cannot pressure you easily.
Yeah, you just got to make yourself bigger as a team and put down that damage so you look scarier, so they're not going to be able to press up as easily as you mentioned. Pioneers, they probably just need 1 more good game and they should be pretty safe here in elimination round 1. But that's easier said than done sometimes. We saw yesterday when teams were getting really close to that bubble, they suddenly started to fall apart a little bit, and it came down to the last game of the day where some squads were able to sneak through into the winner's bracket. But to get it done early would be far more comfortable for Pioneers and will do wonders for their mentals, that's for sure. Now, Onyx Esports, another team in 20th position who need to be performing, are yet again one of these squads who have been far better on World's Edge than they have been on Storm Point. And even though that's worrying as the tournament goes on, at least it's some sort of positive right now. But it's whether they can just hold Mirage Etoile here, because again, this is a really strong position to hold. You've got the elevation, it's difficult for other teams to be pushing you. And because they drop over here, it means they have the chance to hold it from the early game.
Yeah, really important game this for Onyx Esports. They gifted the zone, and now you've got to make the most of it, right? Because you know that you've got the extreme high vantage point of Mirage Etoile. You've also got the ability and the knowledge, excuse me, that other teams are going to have to rotate below you, around you, where you are going to have the opportunity to strike them down. MDY White, speaking of being struck down, they will, as our first team here in game number 5, and Onyx Esports just looking for targets at the moment. This is the god spot for sure.
It is interesting that there wasn't really a contest that went down between 100 Thieves and MDY White. That's good news though for 100 Thieves, who really did not want to have to go through a contest, but MDY White still falling early. We're seeing a lot of early Dark Veils being used as well, just to keep some of these squads going, keep them protected, as the circle starts to go even further over towards Lava Fissure and Mirage Etoile. Now, Go Next, they're going to be sitting in Landslide. They're going to be one of the gatekeepers, the main gatekeepers of this circle, because they're the last remaining team. And really, looking at it, 100 Thieves, Disguised, Complexity, maybe even Pulverix, if they decide to go staging way, may end up going into. This isn't fun for those teams arriving late, and I think they're going to know it, because just look how stacked this western side is right now. Everyone move fast because on set it's one of these circles that is a little bit more easy to predict when you see it early on.
Well, Complexity, who did get that win, of course, a little bit earlier on, they are one of the teams who are going to have to work extremely hard for points, but also a team, when they start to give them a little bit of momentum on their side, will be happy to take some 3v3 engagements and force their way into the lobby. Interesting to see if they're still playing Valkyrie as well, because that might give them an opportunity to hit the skies late and look for a third-party opportunity of some of those teams who are trying to force their way in and they can steal a spot away. Another one of those teams who is quite some way away from zone right now is going to be Disguised, down in 15th position at the moment, and 4 games in, 13 points to speak of.
Yeah, it's not been the best of starts for Disguise, but they are very close to the top 10. I mean, it looks bad when you're down in 15th, but only being, what, 8 points behind another team, that can very easily be collated across a few maps, if not just one, if you have that good game and get to the final circle. So I'd be expecting Disguise to be picking things up. They're one of the teams that should be getting through to the Elimination Round 2, in my opinion, but at a World Championships, we have to send 10 teams home at this point. It is always so difficult because we have 40 of the best teams in the world going at it, and it's always a shame to have to say goodbye to some of them.
Well, team is trying to work their way in towards zone at the moment, just being held out on this choke. It's going to be Pulverex. Chan taking quite a bit of damage there, trying to repeater, but not being able to really outdo the damage of the team who's holding them out. And that's going to be Riddle Order on the other side now.
The Pulverex need to make a decision fast, because as this round closes, they need to decide whether they want to press up onto Riddle Order or if they want to rotate towards staging. And if they are too late to make that decision, they just allow someone else to potentially come behind them. Here is Disguised also getting involved.
Yeah, Disguised got that first knock as well, when you saw the 30-30 being the gun to do that damage, and now they want to push on the 100 Thieves. Disguised is up. Lube will find one as he slides in, and a little bit of hip fire with the R99 will take down the second member of 100 Thieves. One player still alive, scarpering away through the vault tunnel, but this is what they'll be looking for here, Disguised, but they have to be careful, because Complexity, they're up on the high ground, and with a gold R301, Monsoon, he's looking for blood.
Yeah, these were our 3 late rotators, so it makes sense that they're all fighting. They realize it's going to be a difficult rotation in, so let's make sure we try and pick up some KP when it's available to us. For Complexity, they can play a little bit more loose. They are ahead. I mean, Monsoon is bobbing with his character at the moment, and I don't blame him. Complexity feeling great.
Well, that fight kind of helped Complexity hugely, right? Because it clears 100 Thieves from their rotation. They're not going to have to worry about them. Disguised didn't want a part of it as well, so they're hitting the blue to redeploy as well. The question is, are they going to be able to get ahead of Complexity here on the tracks, take the high ground away from them, and then become a problem? Or will they be pressured from the Dorito here? The Dorito building in front of me, you can see there is a team in front of them at the moment. That's going to be Area 310. As we hear a little bit of a skull getting rocked for a few seconds by Xenox.
This was my worry for Pulverex earlier, is because they didn't move quick enough. If they did want to make this rotation round to staging, then we wouldn't be able to anymore. But I think Pulverex have full sent it into Lava Fissure, so we'll have to see a little bit later if they were able to survive. At the moment, Disguise should be okay. They know full well that Complexity are nearby, but at least they have the high ground. Here's Enter Force 36, and it's going to be an initial knock, aimbot, and it's Pulverex indeed. So after they made their rotation on set, they just went for the full send. It was a last-minute resort because they were being held out by Riddle Order, and they get taken down on their landing.
And this is what I'm always talking about, right? Commanding space. Enter Force 36, see Pulverex make the play. They've been holding down one of those buildings underneath Mirage Etoile for this whole game. As soon as they see them land, they get the first shots in, they get those nades in, and they clean up the damage, meaning anyone else who has to come into that position isn't going to be able to coexist. Fnatic now on your screen. 18 squads remaining. Yuka on our screens as we swap over to Meltstera. Let's see what he can do. The flank looks pretty good here. The damage output is strong, and they're going to get the first knock as well.
It's against Lecita France as well as they go down. So Lecita France, remember, they were that bubble team in 10th position. This is great news for all those below them. Area 310, they also get eliminated. They were trying to work their way into that circle, but Fnatic still going in the moment, still trying to pressure and press, and they need to, because that circle is going to force them in slowly, but it's Pioneers who are down below them.
Yeah, really smart disengage that actually from Pioneers. I'm sure that they heard that fight, but with how quickly it was finished and how handedly the Fnatic dealt with Lecita France, there wasn't really an opportunity for them to push up and even see a knock going down that they could turn a 3v2 situation into some KP. So they retreat, they hold down this position, they will be safe in that next zone as well. So a good call from Natsuki, the IGL, to just say, hey boys, this isn't the time, let's reset here.
They can still hold for quite a while, Pioneers. They don't have to panic at the moment. And I will say, with where the ring is going, it's going to be quite a long journey for those who are on the southeast side. But for Pioneers, if they can kind of dominate this northern side, if they can hold out Fnatic and win this fight, they'll be in a really good spot to make their move on into the circle. But with Newcastle locking them down, it means it's difficult for those squads to try and press. As Go Next to having a little one of a peak. It's a dangerous peak, though. It's a very open ground here, and it's a difficult position to find yourself in.
Well, Pioneers now find themselves in a difficult position themselves because Go Next are kind of pinching them in towards Fnatic, and you can see the utility is now going down, but good shots coming in from Pioneers just to send them back. Say, hey, you want to take this fight? Well, we've got some pretty big biceps ourselves. Well, we're willing to flex. That was a difficult word to say.
Beef Wellington.
Close enough.
Jaylings are holding one of the best positions in the map right now. But it's all about these late arrivals, these squads that are just fighting on the outer edge because no one's been able to get close to the center zone. It's all happening on this eastern side as Fnatic are also showing what they can do on the northern side now against Pioneers. But there's Go Next and Kick and Riddle Order here on set.
And look at Zayn. Zayn's holding this. Oh, he gets a stick as well. The black hole is good, but it might not be good enough. His two teammates have gone down, and now it's about escaping as a solo. And I was about to say, the situation that is developing here for Pioneers is the nightmare one. There was multiple teams pressuring. Go Next, they were being pressured from behind by Kick, forcing them into Pioneers. Fnatic had to leave their position as well with the zone closing, and Pioneers were just meat in a sandwich.
I mean, this eastern side is nuts right now, but Fnatic are the main winners just because with Pioneers going down, it's allowed them to push out. Go Next eliminated, but Riddle Order, Kick are still there and are still a presence. This eastern side is just full of squads.
Pioneers up to a 2 somehow or other. And managing to scarper away. So even though they were in a horrendous position, they somehow managed to make the most of it. Riddle Order, though, look like they're going to be chasing down the two remaining members of Pioneers. But can they find them? Once again, the shots are pretty good. Riddle Order now having to smoke and having to be careful not to go down themselves.
You've only got 4 teams in the next circle. That's some good shots, but not going to be enough to keep yourself alive as Riddle Order down to just 1. But all these teams on these, we've got 12 teams that are trying to force their way into the circle at the same time.
Both Complexity and Disguise to make their rotate. How we've been following their game so far, and Complexity have got some work to do here. Cody jumping into the Beast of the Hunt on the Bloodhound, trying to scan, trying to find any kind of vision that he can through this smoke that's gone down. Luda has gone down. Monsoon's still alive as well. Riddle Order eliminated elsewhere on the map, and it's FC Destroy who are holding down this truck.
Yeah, FC Destroy back to back at the moment, trying to cover as much space, using the rocks that are available as Complexity are wiped, as are GO. And we're almost down to our last 10 squads. And I tell you what, there's going to be a couple more that fall, because down on this south side, everyone is so close to one another.
You've got FC Destroy, you've got Onyx, you've got Enter Force 36, all pretty much right next to each other, if not above, stacked on each other. And you get the feeling that only one team can leave from this position. Satsuki's going to go in. Kick do get eliminated, as Northampton now make their move on the eastern side of this zone.
Yeah, Northampton have done well to own that side, but at the moment it's Jaylings who are still holding dead center, as well as Disguise, who have got in the building in the center of zone, which is one of the most commanding positions to hold, because of course, you're not going to get shot from any angles. You can now just stay alive. And I say building, I mean train car, of course. That's going to be up there and available for them. But FC Destroy still have to find a way up here on set.
Well, this is going to be a continuation of the battle of the southern side of the zone. Amateur with that digi threat. He's also got the L-Star to play with as well, so he is suited and booted and ready to throw down to anybody who wants to challenge, but the zone is closing in just 20 seconds. This fight needs to be ended quickly by one of these teams, and Onyx Esports, by the way, still on top of Barrage as well. They're just waiting for the opportunity to pounce.
Yeah, but pounce or leave, you've got to try and choose quickly here, because in 7 seconds, the zone's going to be tickling you. It's Jaylings who hold one of the more commanding positions, but now Enter Force 36 down to just 1. Force is going to have to try and work with whatever you can here, but there's so much attention over towards him, and even if you get the shield swap, are you really going to survive?
Well, the question is he going to have the health meds in time? He's going to have to walk next to this zone, tiptoe, and hope that that smoke in front of him keeps him alive. Onyx now have to drop. You see them dropping from the high ground. Natsuki has been eliminated, meaning that Pioneers will go as well, and Onyx Esports trying to use his grappling to get away. Oh my god, Crusader! He's eating anything that moves at the moment, but can Onyx survive?
trying their best, try as they might, but it's not looking great. 2 have fallen, and they held so long at Mirage Etoile. Triple take as a last stand is not going to do it. 8 squads now remain, but this is where everyone wants to be. In this final circle, over towards the train tracks, Fnatic are still forcing their way in. Remember, they were on the northern side, now they find themselves on the south.
And look at the KP as well. They are starting to stack them up here, Fnatic. The winners of our final game on Storm Point. Well, maybe they want to start off with a win here on World's Edge as well, but now you're seeing J-Links trying to command the space around them, trying to hold down this spot, but JMW has fallen as Fnatic look down on all of this carnage.
Well, J-Links held this for so long, but now this is perfect for Fnatic. This is perfect for them to try and push in and finish off the pieces and take control of one of the bigger positions on this map.
But who has moved in on the north side? It's going to be Element 6. Element 6 have been so quiet in this game, but when it matters, they've taken one of the best positions. Senox hits the hip-fire shot with the 30-30 to take North Epson down. We have 5 squads now remaining.
This is so important for Disguise. As a 2, may I add, they were able to get center zone, but as you quite rightly pointed out, it's Element 6 that have now got into the high ground. They have taken control of the tracks. And the Element 6 fans in the crowd starting to maybe think there is a win on the horizon for them here, especially when Tyler's hitting shots like that.
This is where Tyler does his best work. When he's got bodies in front of him, when he knows he's got the support behind him as well. And there is an example! Duper fall. Tyler goes in for the shield swap. We'll be able to get it. Stays alive. J-Links eliminated. In the meantime, Fnatic still scrapping on the low ground and looking to work their way up.
Realistically, this is Element 6 versus Fnatic. The rest is just rats. You've got one from Aurora, and you've got one from Disguised. Can Fnatic and E6 avoid those rats and take a straight 3v3?
Tyler knows there's one right here. He saw one player leave the building, and that's going to be a member of Aurora. Disguise have been eliminated in the meantime. It's 9 Impulse from Aurora, the duo who takes down Senox. It's E6 versus the solo. 9 Impulse from Aurora taking on Fnatic.
And this should be E6's game. They hold the high ground. Fnatic have to come up towards them with where the circle's moving in. But what's going to make the difference is the rats. 9 Imps can really ruin someone's day if he can go unavoided, maybe shoot someone in the back. But I think E6 have spotted him out. Yes, they have. And Tyler looks to try and make short work.
Tyler's going to drop on this. He wants that kill when he gets it. He can use the grappling to get back up. It's a smart play from Tyler, because now he can rejoin the fight. But the problem is, the Dark Veil is even better from Fnatic. They completely cut the zone in half. They step through, and this should be back-to-back here as Melzera goes in. Fnatic! Back-to-back here in the elimination bracket.
And I said that 9 Imps could make a difference as a rat, and he kind of did. As soon as Tyler dropped, that was the door wide open for Fnatic. They almost heard that gunfire and instantly sent it on the other 2 members from E6. But still, Element 6 should be very happy with the top 2. But it's about Fnatic, who surely with that solidify their spot in elimination round 2.
Back-to-back for Fnatic. Their fans loving it, but you saw the reaction of the E6 Ultras in the crowd as well. They loved what they saw from their team. Second place, not quite good enough to call yourself a champion in that game, but a huge amount of KP in that endgame should start to stack up for them.
And what a performance it was from Fnatic, though. When they were on that northern side, being held out by Pioneers, waiting for Pioneers to get under a little bit of pressure, then they pushed. Then they were able to swoop down on the eastern side and take the southern zone off of all those teams that were fighting in Mirage Etoile, and then dominated, therefore, got all of those kills to get a massive game. Great performance.
Fnatic looking like the Fnatic we expected to see here at the ALGS Championships. And for some teams, maybe it's the run you need, the games you need under your belt to find the comp that works in these lobbies. Fnatic look like they might have just found the right recipe.
Wow. I mean, what an opening game on World's Edge where we had absolute carnage unfolding, it seemed like in every area of the map. Because it was one of those circles where there was very little buildings to hold down, it meant that you really had to play edge. You had to try and scrap against one another, and it seemed to be Fnatic who did it best. That now puts them on 65 points. I'm thinking the cutoff's going to be around 43, judging based on the averages that we're seeing in the moment being scored by teams. So at 60, you'd expect them to be well ahead. It's a 15-kill game for Fnatic. Unbelievable.
Yuka Supremacy still very much on the cards. A couple of things to talk about though in that endgame. Jailings holding down the spot. How many times do we have to talk about it with this squad, right? Getting into the God spot, looking like they should be the team to win the game, and not quite being able to do it. Yuka playing out to the cameras a little bit. We love to see that, and rightly so, with a smile on his face after back-to-back wins. This is your final circle. This is how Fnatic got it done.
Yeah, and you look at Fnatic in this position, and you're probably thinking, well, how do you win from here? You've got to try and get up. Well, first thing you need is a horizon. They're just waiting for any sort of info. They see 3 squads are left. They don't know if it's a rat, of course, and they just know where that team is. As soon as that gunfire happens and any sort of damage, you're gonna be sending it. So I imagine that Fnatic chose their time wisely and then all arrived at once from Yuka's Horizon grab lift.
Like you say, just finding the time as soon as the gunfire goes down.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing for them when the Dark Veil went down is they kind of picked the right side to go, right? Of that Dark Veil, they fell into the players who just had their attention taken away, with Tyler making that solo play. Final 2 remaining members of Fnatic, after the damage was done, managed to clean up. And look at that, 27 points from Fnatic. E6 just behind them with 11. Something to smile about for them.
Yeah, Fnatic now cruising here in elimination bracket round 1. Should be all good to be qualifying through to tomorrow's action here in Birmingham. For E6, that's a solid game of 11, disguised as well as a duo, getting into the latter stages, just being able to rescue something and keep their hopes alive, because they were pretty far. They were down in 15th before this game started, but now they find themselves up in 10th position.
Onyx Esports, from the position they were in, probably a little bit disappointed to not just come out of it with not a huge amount of placement points, but also just the 3 kills with that advantage position they had at Mirage Artois for quite some time. Elsewhere, 100 Thieves really struggling on that rotate. It was a tough one for them to make, of course, but even in the very opening moments of the game, they were under pressure. Maybe had to go to plan B, plan C, and then they got caught over at Harvester by Disguised. Riddle Order, only a couple of points to them as well. Complexity, not a huge game from them. It's very interesting to watch Complexity and Disguise kind of going against each other. It's almost like they were shadowing each other for the entirety of their rotations.
Yeah, it really was, and it happens sometimes in Apex, doesn't it? Where you will have a team that you might shadow or mirror throughout the entire series, and sometimes you have to get the better of them if you are to come out on top. But I'm worried for the likes of 100 Thieves, Onyx Esports, even Jailings. That's 18th, 19th, and 20th at the moment in the overalls here. And as I was mentioning earlier, we think roughly around 43 points should have you safe. That's just a guess based off averages that are being scored so far. So if you're looking at that, the likes of Complexity, E6, FC Destroy are just about there, and Fnatic should be a guarantee.
Very impressive there from Fnatic. Back-to-back wins for them. And I'll tell you what, if you're in the arena at the moment and you fancy trying to imitate what some of these players are doing on the main stage, well, good news, you've got an opportunity to. Peeps wants to give us a tour of the Apex Legends Free Play Lounge.
Onset and Gaskin, thank you so much. We are here at the Apex Legends Free Play Lounge, thanks to our awesome partners at PlayStation Tournaments. So we got some gamers here, we got a bunch of setups, and if you win a game of Apex, you get a token and you're able to win some prizes here. Let's check in with our gamers. What's up, man?
Yeah.
Dude, what is your name, where are you from, and what is your favorite legend?
My name is Fassi, I'm from UK, and Pathfinder is my favorite legend.
I love that. Who do you got winning the championship this
TSM.
week? TSM?
Yeah.
I love that. And my man, what about, are you guys friends?
Yeah, we are. We actually met through Apex in a random lobby. And then when I moved to the UK from Pakistan, we met together once, and then this is the second time of us meeting, and we were like, okay, let's just get together here. And yeah, we're here.
That is absolutely insane, man. I know a lot of people got the same story where they meet a lot of friends through Apex. Well, you heard it here. Come make some friends at the Apex Legends Free Play Lounge. And not only that, possibly win some prizes. Casters, back to you.
Thank you so much, Peeps. And I'm going to say down 1v1. Play one.
1v1?
1v1.
I'll take it.
I'm not making bets of you anymore after how the first one went, but great to hear Partimont, Find the Veins, by the way, being represented. E6 also being represented in the loudest way possible here in Birmingham. Dan's dancing along with you as well. He is loving it. You've also got the ND1 fans in here. I tell you what, it's getting a bit competitive, not just on the main stage here, Dan, but between the groups of fans. All friendly competition.
I mean, it's only getting bigger and better, isn't it, as the week goes on. But shout out to the guys, always making sure the energy is high in the arena. And It's just perfect. I think as a player, if you see that kind of support for you, it must just give you that extra little buzz, that extra incentive to try and get that W.
Yeah, 100%. And now getting the W is, of course, what it is all about. We are now just 3 games remaining down in this first round of the elimination bracket. And all of a sudden, I'm sure the teams are thinking, down in that bottom 10, do we have what it takes to put enough points on the board to see us through to tomorrow? For those teams, it's about the journey now, right? It's about not wanting to go home today, get through to tomorrow, and then think about Sunday after that. But I'll tell you, I'm kind of nervous for them.
Yeah, there's 10 teams that are only going to play 3 more matches of Apex, and whilst that is sad and it is disappointing for those that have travelled around the world to try and compete on this bigger stage, that is what the ALGS is about. Competing and making sure we find the best teams possible. And certainly it seems like we're going to whittle it down to 30 very shortly. Now, jumping into a Legend Select, you're going to see pretty consistent things across the board. Bangalore and Catalyst, and then it depends what you add on top of that. Is it going to be a controller Legend so you can get that ring console information, or do you want to go for something a little bit more aggressive? Do you want a Horizon on the board? Is Catalyst going to be enough for you to get the ring console, or do you want someone else? I'm loving to see what we have with Legend Selection and comp differences, but at the same time, I do miss a couple of Legends, you know, and I'm hoping that maybe next year we'll start to see them appear. Don't ask me who.
I'm not going to ask you who, because we'll fall out on the stage. Anyway, match number 6, it's live, it's ready to go here in Birmingham. After this game, it is done and dusted. And the bullets have settled on World's Edge. We will only have 2 more games today to find out who our top 10 will be going through to tomorrow.
We're dropping into World's Edge. I'm keeping a keen eye on Monument and Fragment again, but it seems like teams are happy to split the difference once more. And J-Lane is going to be making their longer journey over towards Overlook. It looks pretty clean on the map, but our winners, Fnatic, they will have a safe drop as well over towards Survey Camp and Epicenter. They spread themselves out quite thin, but it looks like no one's going to be really wrestling with them here, so they're going to be safe to do their loop.
Well, teams to keep an eye on in this lobby, in this game especially. We're always talking about the top 10. They're the ones who go through to play some more Apex Legends tomorrow. The team who holds down that 10th place spot, taking it away from Lacite de France, who had it just before, they're going to be disguised. They have 25 points. They are 4 points clear of Riddle Order, who are chasing them down.
So E6, Complexity, Northeption, MDY White are all very close to getting towards that points total that I was suggesting. It could be safe after this game, but it's very worrying for those at the bottom now. We need to see big performances that you were speaking of.
I mean, speaking of the Lacite de France, right, they just lost their qualification spot in that last game. They find themselves in 12th going into this game. Well, look at the zone. Look at the ring console that they've got as well. If they've got a character who can hit that and give them the information, they are going to be in such a good spot. There is nothing, I would say there's probably the best priority you could possibly have in this game to maybe get back into that top 10 if they can convert.
You say that, but they had pretty good priority to the last zone as well, but they got kind of forced out early on, and they lost that fight when they were trying to hold down Countdown, but it's going to be another attempt going over towards Countdown for Lacite de France. I don't personally like Landslide as a POI to be dropping at in a tournament. It is one of the worst loot pools for me, I find, so I'm just expecting Lacite de France to struggle a little bit with their loot unless they get very lucky, and other teams maybe to take advantage of that.
You can see they've left with white. Yeah. Never a good feeling. However, a good feeling is knowing that you've got a pretty good spot in the zone. On Esports, they had a pretty quick rotate as well, as they always do. But 20th position for a team who have been pretty consistent across this year in the ALGS, especially on the global scale as well. So questions to be asked for sure. 3 games left, including this one, of course, to right the ship.
And I wonder how much that's going to hurt Lacite de France as well, because had they found better armors, they may have stayed around Landslide. Look, we can see people arriving, Pioneers setting up at Landslide. They're looking at this circle saying, well, actually, you know what? This high ground, the fact we've got Castle Wall, we can make this a little bit of a fortress. Lacite de France would have loved to have done that, but with just white armors, there's no chance that they can survive. That's why they moved off a little bit to maybe a safer area, hoping they could make up extra loot.
Over at half start, we've got NForce 36, we've got Kick and the 2 remaining players of Aurora. We're having some polite conversation at the moment. Nothing really angrily has been said between the two teams. Nobody's taken a huge amount of damage, and NForce 36 sometimes scared them away. Their Kicking Sports who continue merrily on their way and on their rotate. The team who is holding down the Vault Tunnel, which does lead to Landslide. And that's going to be MDY White. Elsewhere, we mentioned Lacite de France dropping with perfect prio to this zone. Over at Landslide, of course, now moved over to Countdown, and they're under pressure here. And like you said, Dan, they only have those white armors to play with, but they do have the gen, which is going to eat up those grenades.
It eats up the grenades, but you can see that Northampton really want to push up on this. France took a very defensive position on this map because of those armors, but they might just be swept through. Northampton shut down the France, and even though they had the drop at Landslide, it did not give them really anything to work with. As now J-Lings also having a fight on their rotation.
This is really bad news for J-Lings. They have been struggling so much at the moment. It's Go Next going up against them, so it's EU on EU action. EU on EU warfare at the moment here. And Go Next through 14th. Might be able to clean up the pieces here. J-Lings starting to fall apart when it really matters down, and Noise is left on his own.
And it's so unexpected when you look at the stats and how J-Lings have been playing on World's Edge. They were the best World's Edge team in this lobby from group stages. They just can't really seem to find that same form. Granted, still 2 maps remaining, and they are still alive right now, so it's not all doom and gloom, but things not looking good for the J-Lings roster.
Aurora now moving in as well, and I'm pretty sure they got the information that that is going to be so player, but it's difficult to push. There's empty white and prodding from that tunnel. Noises right now doing his best one-man army impression. He's saying, do you know what, we're not done here in this game. Even though you know I'm a solo player, I'm standing for my squad. If you want to push me, it's going to hurt.
I mean, he wants to desperately try and do as much damage as possible. A good sign is he's going up against white armors, so this is still winnable. And if you can get away, he has both those banners. You can deliver to a beacon.
Also might have an EMP available. And that could completely change the complexion of this fight. What a moment this is for J-Lings, right? Aurora as the duo, trying to pressurize, trying to poke, but Noises is making himself as big as possible here. He does not want this game to end.
He's being very patient, but now Aurora starting to try and close that gap. Good shots, though. You need to bait and switch if you're a 2, and that's happening, but Noises really going to take advantage of that damage, but it was not possible. And J-Lings will fall, and Aurora as the duo still survive. 18 squads now remain.
And Impulse had to try and bait for his teammate there, and they did pretty well, you have to say, in that situation. Just to make sure that one didn't go down and give an opportunity for a finish shield swap. And for a magical moment of J-Lings staying alive, thanks to the play coming in from Noises.
I mean, what, 32 more damage from Noises with that R9, and he might have been able to take that 1v2, but that could be the fine differences between staying alive and unfortunately getting shut down. Now, the circle is starting to fill up a little bit. Go Next and Aurora, a riddle order, still outside. Complexity as well, actually. Still all the way down on launch side. They're going to run very, very late. This circle is going to be ending in and around Landslide. So Pioneers did quite well to take that prime position right on top of the train carts, where the train carts used to be, and set up their fortress. And you see whether they can hold on the rest again.
Kick now trying to work their way through the vault tunnel on the opposite side of the map. This is mid-map at the moment, trying to make sure that Landslide is accessible to them when that zone does start to close. It's going to be a problem. Time to clear the lungs here for the King players.
It means you know who you're going up against. Lemon is going to be somewhere around the corner on the caustic, the only caustic that was in the lobby earlier. They're slowly but surely pushing up, but in that vault is a caustic, and on the other side is the Pioneers. So this is not a fun place to be down towards the vault area. And it is Lemon, the last remaining player of every 310. If you want to be one of those solo, if you want any legend, then caustic is probably the best one to be.
Keep trying to push on to this final player alive, but they don't want to overstep the mark. Once again, the barrel just being nothing short. Annoying for them to try and step through.
I feel so this is your charge rifle, right? The charge rifle is the thing that annoys me most. I can feel it now. Caustic is what really gets your blood boiling.
I would be sliding in and dying immediately to it.
But you still get the damage on, and that's what matters. He made with this one. Here we go.
Zero doing his best on-set impression. He finally goes in, slides in, says enough of the caustic, and kick will eliminate area 310. The vault tunnel is now there. Zane from Pioneers did back off of that to play a little bit closer to his teammates, but his action starting to pick up just outside the monument at the moment. It's Go Next. We saw a few moments ago trying to pressure pressurize Jailings. Well, they're back on this rotate and they're trying to push up on the tunnel.
So MDY White are going to be holding down the tunnel that you speak of, and next just be careful they don't all push in the same direction. You want to try and create angles here. Maybe try and surprise MDY White. You've got the smoke down, so you can be a little bit of a surprise, and you've got the Digi threat to work with too. I think today's going to be fun having a Digi threat. Tomorrow is when it gets even more fun. Digi threat in the crafter, angle laws all round.
MDY White trying to watch their backs, watch their fronts. Don't have to worry about up and down at the moment. Tunnel's going to do that for them, but they know the pressure is coming from Go next. They do have the option maybe to rotate north, but there's going to be a different proposition to take care of if they do make that play. So this could just be a straight up 3v3 at the moment. Nobody else is really winning here enough to influence this fight.
I think actually one of the teams that is in a pretty good spot after watching them earlier in the vault is Kick, because if Kick can hold out that southern side and the vault, they can stay alive for quite some time and maybe even get into top 3 positions if they find themselves in. MDY White might feel similar over towards that tunnel, but they know they're being threatened by Go Next at the moment. As for Disguise, they're arriving from this eastern side. And I said that it's already in the ground, so that's my mistake.
Well, that means I don't know what day it is either.
Is it Friday, Saturday, Sunday? I don't even know at this point, but that's why we're seeing so much Digi threats, and that's why Lou's got one in his hands, as we're going to see 9 imps get taken down, or just one.
Still alive, though. They return to the zone. This guy's now kind of inching their way in, but their next proposition is going to be Fnatic, who are holding down one of those chokes. Elsewhere, Complexity on our screens. You mentioned how Kick will hold down that tunnel down with them. What might be their next game thing is they're going to try and force their way through. But Complexity do have the armor advantage here. Now, the question is, can they get that opening damage? Kick will be watching this like a hawk.
Just trying to take them something unexpected angles here. They're going to be holding just on top of this crate. It's whether Complexity even want to try and take this fight, but they may be forced to, as Disguise now are going to be pushing up on to Go Next here. And remember, MDY White are not far away.
Trying to change the angle. He's caught at the moment in that mother load. The ultimate is causing huge problems for Disguise. If they get pushed or naded here, this could be the end of it. And yes, it's going to be 2 who go down. It's all up to Dupe. Dupe on his own. But he's pronouncing a girl. Go Next eliminates. Disguise also eliminated. And that was the worry for me with the rotate. Fnatic were always just lurking and waiting for a fight to break out.
But so were MDY White. MDY White have left that tunnel and are now challenging Fnatic. They were both head down on things, looking for that extra KP. And now they just have top shots against one another to say, hey, you have that loot, we'll have this loot. We can share it and go back to our positions.
As for on the map, Red Lorder now, we mentioned how they are on the tunnels qualification at the moment. And they took good shots through the smoke, but there's those missiles swarming in. The knock doesn't quite come in. Can they connect? No, the double peacekeeper shot coming in from Drizzler to keep Red Lorder on the back foot here. The extra lost black fire remaining. Can he win? He could win it 6-1, but doesn't quite have it in him to win against another player from Gabale or Tasani Drizzler, who made that big play with a PK, 2 shots that connected.
It's one of these nights. They're so important on set as well, because you've got to engage those points on the board. You've been doing it, those 2 getting before, but
side of the ring, if they could take care of that solo, it would be massive for them. But here's the fight we were waiting to see. The Vault Tunnel, access to landslide about to be decided. Complexity got that first knock, but are they able to capitalize on it? Can they close the space and keep the pressure on the knock? It's turned into 2, and now you see Complexity force their way into zone.
yeah, Complexity making sure that last remaining Kick player was running with the tail between their legs as Kick get eliminated because they ran into Pulverex, who are waiting on the other side of this tunnel, as are MDY White, by the way, looking to try and take down Pulverex. So there is so much action on this southern side of the circle right now.
Aurora gone as well. The solo player is out of here. Pulverex as a duo. How many times have I said that over the last couple of years of Apex Legends?
Oh, it might not be a duo for much longer, though. They have the banner, and they can get that beacon in.
Oh, Excel being popped here as well. Complexity trying to plan their next move, trying to work their way out. They will be able to scan. They do have the Bloodhound in the composition, so they're not going to be caught off guard. Northeption, the solo, has been eliminated as well. Like it could not eke out a few more placement points. So now that means that Onyx were in a position to control the northern side of the zone, but here comes the push for complexity.
Also, the final player of Pulverex back onto the map now will be respawned. And all the meanwhile, Pioneers still up in their castle on top of Landslide. 7 squads remain, but one of them is Complexity. They're going to be arriving from the south here, and they do have a lot to work with, as you can see in Monsoon's hands.
Well, Monsoon, he's already shown he can hit the right notes when he's got a microphone in front of him, but can he hit the right ones with the Kraber here and allow Complexity to leave this vault tunnel? One bullet, one shot changes everything here for Cole.
And you could see the angles he was trying to take. He was trying to sneak up. He was very careful. He was aware of where the Pioneers were. He did have a potential shot lined up, but as soon as it wasn't available, he quickly backed down. Now, these are the kings of the castle, quite literally, Pioneers. They have the castle wall set up. They can rain down hell from above, and they should be good. Unless another team decides to full send it, which they may not even have the opportunity to, Pioneers should be good for top 3 minimum.
Well, they're going to be smoked off here, and the smoke was from Complexity, but Onyx Esports are looking at this as well. They're trying to 3-2-1. Aren't able to do so, and I'm pretty sure that was Monsoon who was just scuttling away once again to survive alongside his 2 teammates. MDY White and Complexity, by the way, have been fighting for so long, but now you're seeing Gambale or Tosan have a fight. Enter Force 36 also involved in this scuffle as I catch my breath for just a few seconds.
Oh, it gets you, that one. I've been there before. Geo versus E36. Sometimes that's the easier way to say it, but another one falls as Geo go down. 6 squads remain, and it's Pioneers from a distance just adding gunfire to every fight right now because they can see the lay of the land. They can see everything. The lay of the landslide, should I say.
Very, very smart from you. At least you can string some sentences together. It's good for both of us. Anyway, MDY White, having won that fight, having watched that fight go down, still have to deal with Complexity! The arm shield still eating a lot of that Kraber bullet from the Gibby. But Complexity need to make their move soon.
Yeah, Complexity can't afford to stay here because they're going to be forced out and they will be in the vision of the likes of Onyx, the likes of Pioneers. They do have smokes to work with. Monsoon taking his angles and says, you know what? Screw you guys up there, I'll smoke you as well. Here we go.
There's a 140, that's the opportunity to push, but there's the Gibby bubble as well, but they will have to leave in just a few moments' time. Does one have the timing on this? Can't quite connect. As the Gibby jumps over the bullet.
I mean, Gibby bubble plus Rolling Thunder going down. Complexity. This is their chance to try and escape.
They are safe though. They are safe. As long as Monsoon can keep smoking off, Pioneers up on that high ground, they will be able to survive here for a few moments.
But heaven, it's just arrived. Oh, Monsoon! Still alive, but I tell you what, that was dangerously close.
They are being focused at the moment by Pioneers up on that high ground. Enter Force 36 as well. They're finding out what it feels like to be at the end of Zane's 30-30.
And E36 are not in the worst position. With where this circle moves, it's going to move to E36 side of this crane. So Pioneers are actually going to have to move across the crane if they want to. But they're still in one of the commanding positions, of course, with the elevation they have.
Pulverex still alive, by the way, as a duo. It's what they do best. Here comes the push. Finally, we're going to see the fight. Cody! Cody with the big shots with the PK. Complexity are winning this. Complexity have won this fight that's been going on for so long. But can they get the shield swap? Because here comes Onyx.
Onyx want to get involved on this one, but they're being pressed from the other squads as well. Pioneers are looking down on it, saying, you know what? We're not allowing anyone to have a free push. We want a little bit of this damage.
Complexity still alive for the moment. EMP going down as well. As Zane tries to take this off angle, but has this just opened the door, Dan? Has this just provided the invitation here for Enter Force 36 to enter the fight at just the right time?
I think it's actually perfect for them to avoid the fight, because Enter Force 36 can just go onto this western side. Pioneers down to 1, Zane the last remaining player, but he gets shut down. Luda still alive. Complexity managed to stay here, dominating, but Luda should fall, and he does. 3 squads now remain.
And Onyx, who were 20th position coming into this, they're still alive. Enter Force 36 now make the contest on that high ground. They will take it away. They will command the top of this crane.
Pulverex is still alive, by the way, as a 2. They took the northern side when Pioneers, they moved off of the north. And Onyx is still a 2-2. This is great for E36.
Onyx have taken control of the zone. Enter Force 36, though, they have control of the height. And you'd be very surprised to maybe see E36 throw this away. By the way, Pulverex, Shunmi, F-Chat, no shields whatsoever to play with here. But still alive, so who cares?
I mean, I've seen crazier things happen, but you'd imagine that this is unwinnable for Pulverex. And it should be extremely winnable for Enter Force 36, but this win could be enough to send them into Elimination Round 2, so there's no reason for them to take any risks here. You play this safe, you play this riskless, you ensure this victory.
Aimbot with the Digi-Threat, living up to his name right now as he's shredding through Raki on the low ground. Onyx Esports eliminated, and you said it was impossible for Pulverex? Well, if they could get a couple of shield swaps and something wacky happens, then maybe they could do it themselves. But Enter Force 36, they will fall. They will clean up the pieces. And E36 get the win on the board.
E36 with what could be the most important victory that they've seen so far yet in their careers, as it could be enough to send them into Elimination Round 2, because with only 2 games left, there's only a certain amount of points available. They've crossed that kind of 40-plus point threshold that I mentioned earlier. As for Pulverex, though, a second place as a 2. They even tried to get their final player back in, but he was ripped out of the skies. But E36, well, they did perfectly there when all the action was happening, when Pioneers joined that fight on the eastern side. E36 looked at it and said, no, we don't really fancy that. Actually, Dark Veil's giving us perfect coverage to get up on top of the crane, and suddenly, we are the kings of the mountain.
As the games start to slip away here in Elimination Bracket Round 1. A win like that with just 2 games remaining on World's Edge, Dan. You can see how much it means to E36. Huge smiles, but I think equally smiles as happiness as they are of relief.
As we get closer and further in this tournament, and with match point looming once you get to those grand finals, every win is not only important for getting closer to the grand finals, but of course giving you that confidence if you are to be there, that you could maybe be lifting that trophy. For all we talk about the biggest teams like TSM and Dark Zero, this is still anyone's game at this tournament, but it all starts here in Elimination Round 1.
Certainly does indeed. So 2 games to go here in Birmingham to find out who's going to be in that top 10. For now though, we're going to send it over to the analyst desk. So Rainday, take it away.
Thank you so much, Onsen and Gaskin. Great calls. After 6, things are tight at the top. We're seeing a lot of contests, especially in the APAC side of things. And I know Complexity continue their winning or close to winning ways. Exciting stuff here in our Elimination Round 1. Of course, I'm joined by the desk with Spider Tiff now, and Zephyr. She's adding some color. Tiff, I love the blue. It is making us pop finally up here. And of course, Graceful down there, always looking good, always saying the right things. Tiff, I want to start with you. What have you seen after these last 3 before we head into the final zone?
Well, first off, I saw Fnatic supremacy, right?
That's
you got
right.
the Yuka signs down there, and I've been having a lot of fun witnessing all the APAC North teams fighting it out through the Elimination Round 1, and it's just been really impressive. A lot of those teams needed to stand up for that region to make a showing for that finals day, and they are laying it all on the line, and it's been very magnificent to watch.
Speaking of finals, let's go to the final circle, Graceful. Walk us through how this ultimately ended up.
This circle is one I have played one too many times, all the way since Trainyard pretty much. I've been in this spot for maybe 3.5 years. This ending for Enter Force is, I'm going to be completely honest and tell it the way I see it from a pro perspective, free. The one thing though that I don't think we got too much glimpse of it is how they took the high ground, because they weren't inherently on the high ground. But the moment they managed to get the high ground, they can clean sweep everyone easily because the zone is actually pulling underneath them. This zone could have been completely different if the zone pulled away from the crane, but the moment the zone pulls towards them, they get to sit there out for free forever. The moment they land any type of poke, they just 3-man drop and they just clean up the fight.
I gotta ask a question. I want to hear what you have to say, Zephyr, but my question is, if you are not at the top, how do you manage this? Graceful, do you just accept the loss? What can you do to try to have a chance at this on the bottom?
So the consistency in me always says you need to play for second. You don't go for the win anymore, because also it was a 2v2 at the bottom, 2v2v3, but at this point you don't say, oh, we're gonna win this game. You say, okay, we need to wipe the other team. If they get cracked, we're sending it, and that's it.
And I think it's especially even more important for Enter Force, especially because they don't have Ryzen in this scenario. Had they not found that hype earlier, they would have ended up doing what Graceful says and playing for second there.
I think one of the things, too, when you look at this, 18 points is not a massive game, Zephyr. When you look at this, it was more of a tame, well-placed game, good performance, but overall we're not seeing like a 32, a 37, which we have sometimes seen here. So still, it's 7 points separating second to 6th place in this lobby. Anyone can win.
there's still a lot of opportunities for so many of our teams to come through here, even though we only have 2 games to go. And it just goes to show, when we talk about some of these final zones, you are seeing upwards of 11, 12, 13 teams still alive upwards into zone 4 and further. Goes to show why you have such a top stacked point settlement.
Tip. This is obviously a sign as you look at the overall series results, not just that there's possibilities, anybody can do it, APAC representing, but also this is an elimination bracket round 1. So now that you head into these final 2 games, not only is this entire day a little bit different than some of these teams might normally play in a winner's bracket where there's more wiggle room, now you've got only 2 games left. So how does that change things, and who are you most looking at with now only 2 games, maybe to be under fire or maybe in a really nice position outside of Fnatic?
Look, it's tough, right? I look immediately to that 10th place positioning. Pulverex, they were so close to advancing onto that winner's bracket, but just missing that cutoff and sitting there with Disguised on 28 points. It opens the door for all of the teams that are sitting kind of on the cusp with only 2 matches. So Area 310, Gombre, Aurora, even as a duo, and even down to the fact of Riddle Order, the fact is there's not that many points separating that bubble from advancing onto the 6th. So even all the way up to Pioneers, if something crazy happens on these last 2 maps, you're not going to be feeling safe. And that's what I'm looking for. If you know that you have to essentially point sponge on these last 2 maps, you are going to enact full-on aggressive gameplay.
And one of the things maybe most surprising right now is looking at 100 Thieves. I mean, not just a premier org in the gaming esports space, but also a premier team in terms of their performances across the years, actually sitting in last place right now with 10 points. Will there be enough time? I know North America will be asking themselves that question as we take a little break, but in Tokyo, there's another group of fans watching, and I believe CyberZ is helping that watch party get off and making sure they're having a fantastic time checking into the ALGS, seeing Fnatic represent and all of APAC show out. So big shout outs to Tokyo, CyberZ. I've been to Tokyo once only. It is one of my favorite trips ever. My cousin taught Japanese out there for 5 years, and having the chance to visit, I gotta say, an incredible city. Thank you so much for supporting, obviously, the ALGS and all of these wonderful teams from APAC North. Now, of course, you know what it is. It's time for Rain Day to get hype. It's my favorite segment. It's WD Black. What's in your pack? And today, we got one of my favorite weapons as well. Graceful, the R99. It has been dominant so far in this tournament.
The R9, as people can imagine, is that when we pick up weapons, we look at how well are they gonna, place or do well in certain ranges, right? Normally now people just play Peter plus an SMG because you fit all the ranges. SMG can be essentially your shotgun or your close range weapon, but mainly your primary weapon, which is mid-range. And like I said, if you see in any fight here, like this fight right here, mid-range, you don't need a flatline, you don't need a carbine. Like R9, car, any SMG will smoke everything.
Let's talk about this, Graceful, because it has had a couple of adjustments to the R99 as of recently, with reducing the mag size. A base R99 only has 17 bullets, so it's really advantageous to go ahead and secure a light mag. And still, people are vying for that weapon over what you would see is like the sister, the car SMG.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that people have to think about is car actually has an issue is where you spray and you crouch a lot, the crouch will actually jiggle a little bit. Ooh. That could be a reason for why people are not as comfortable with the car as an R9. The thing when we talk about 17 bullets in a mag is that it just loses its early game prowess. We're talking about pro players here. The only time we're in early fight is in contesting, and not every team or majority of teams aren't contesting, so they're going to vie for the weapon that they're comfortable with. They picked it up from mid or late game. It still shreds everyone. As you can see, everybody's been tearing everybody apart with it.
Man, it's unfortunate. The only way to not have somebody rushing the same weapon that you are off drop is to become a pro player. It's like, it feels like that's backwards, guys. I don't know how that is. Thank you again for another WD Black. What's in your pack? The R99 having a great one this tournament so far. Closing remarks before we send it back over to the casters. Tiff, I'll start with you, and Zephyr, I want to get your thoughts. And what are we expecting these last 2 games to tell us?
I think we're going to see a little bit of chaos, right? For the teams that have a must-win condition, they know that they've already have that point disparity between them. They are going to look to find as many eliminations as possible, whether that's grabbing the weapons early on that they're very comfortable with and just full sending anyone and everyone. I imagine that macro, the zone predictability is going to go out the door.
For me, a little bit of the coach's effort going to come out here. At the end of the day, from 20th to 10th, there's only 18 points that separates you from tomorrow. If you're hitting a win, that is at minimum almost 15 points for you to work with. One good fight on top of that, and you are clearly on your way to the further competition. We can accept some chaos, but for some of these teams, you don't actually have to go too crazy. Play the game you know and win it strong.
Harder question. I want to see if you've been paying attention, if you've been predicting who in the bottom 10 is going to make it into the top 10 in these next two.
So, who is going to? Who do I want to? You know, who do I want to?
It's Graceful thinks he has control over this. Who does he want?
You know who?
Then
You know,
just do it.
you know
Jay
who's
Lings,
good enough?
perhaps, a team we had
You know
talked
what?
about?
I think Duo Aurora is making it. You know what?
Aurora?
Yeah, you know what? I believe in my people. You know what? And then, you know, Jay Lings, Jay Lings. My boys, my old teammates. I love all of you so much. You know, I know you guys got this in the bag. It's like scrims.
We're going to end on that. He did a great throw there. And, of course, we're going to take you to a quick break. When we come back, our final two games of the evening, the elimination bracket sends 10 teams home. We'll find out who that is right after this. Herman Miller, the official chair of the Apex Legends Global Series. WD Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Two more games. That's all we have left remaining here in Birmingham to decide whose tournament will continue tomorrow and who will have to watch from the stands. We're here live at the ALGS Global Series Championships, Gaskin and Onset here on the microphones. And I tell you what, Dan, this is what it all comes down to, right? This is where you're really tested as a team.
The crowd is getting loud and proud. MDY White fans are the ones who are dominating the crowd today, but it was Dreamfire yesterday who are really bringing the noise. Imagine both of them together tomorrow, but MDY White have to get there first. It's elimination round 1. We can only say 10 more teams into elimination round 2. It's match number 7 here, folks. It's do or die time for teams like Jay Lings that they were talking about on the desk. They're only on 15 points at the moment, down at the bottom of the leaderboard. They need big games, and they need them now.
Graceful. Words of encouragement for his former teammates from the desk. Maybe that's what they need, Dan. Maybe just a little bit of belief, just to take, you know, the pressure off their shoulders, right? Just to make sure that they remember this is just a game of Apex Legends. Or maybe they need to be reminded there's only 2 left. Whatever side of the fence you're sitting on, whatever works for you, Jay Lings, you need to find a little bit of inspiration right now. But at the other end of the leaderboard, Dan, there's a lot of teams who are going to be feeling much more comfortable, the likes of Enter Force 36, after their performance in the last game.
Enter Force 36, they should be locked in into that elimination round 2. Northemption still should have done enough to get there as well. But it seems like MDY White, E6, They are very close to securing their spot in Elimination Round 2, but those on the bubble, Disguised, Pulverex, Area 310, Gambale Otazan, Aurora as a 2, and a Riddle Order. They're teams to keep an eye on to try and get into those top 10 spots, but still 2 matches remain, so it doesn't have to happen here, but you want to put yourself in a position to get close.
I will say there's a little bit of a point discrepancy starting to appear as well. And it kind of starts around E6. We just saw them doing a little bit of work over at Trials on their loot path, but they're on 42 points at the moment. Behind them is going to be Disguised, 28. But after that, Dan, it is so close. And if you missed the last game, well, good news, we're going back to landslide again.
And I was going to say leading into this one, you know, J-Lings, they've had 2 tough circles, having to go all the way from Overlook. Perhaps it's going to be a little bit better. Yeah, no, it's not going to be. They have to get through 100 Thieves, MDY White, likes of Aurora, and once they reach, if they reach landslide, they're going to be beaten to the pulp. Everyone's going to already be there just as they had prior. Now, Pioneers have ring console again, so if they use it, they will be heading to the same direction. They've got the Newcastle to get it done. They'll probably set up in a similar place. But my question is, do Le Site de France do the same thing? Because Le Site de France, remember, dropped over towards landslide, and they left, went up towards countdown, and were punished. But it is going to be a pretty similar game, a lot of similar rotations, but teams looking at this circle should have a good idea of where they want to set up.
Well, MDY White on your screens right now, and you mentioned Le Site de France and Pioneers. Well, they're having a little scrap in that vault tunnel right now, as we see Le Site de France this time looking a little bit more confident in those armors, Dan. It was all whites last time, with there's 2 blues and a purple this time, and they're going to have to hold off the push coming in from Pioneers.
Yeah, this is a better position to hold than just retreating up towards countdown. And Le Site de France were that team in 10th position as we started World's Edge, but they've slowly dripped down to 15th place now, 21 points. So the magic number, we think, or around about with the averages, is about 42 points. So still a way to go at the moment.
And isn't it crazy how Pioneers, just because they were slowed down on their rotation, boy, what Le Site de France did, well, it means Onyx Esports are up on the high ground this time. That's how things can work. Those few seconds, can completely change how you have to approach this game. Onyx control the height, all dressed in blue at the moment, and should be settled for that long game.
And Pioneers, now, when they arrive, they'll see Onyx is there, and they might have to take a different position. And Pioneers may have to take a fight earlier on that southern side next to the vault. But FC Destroy are going to lock down this little truck nice and early. We're going to have a little rampart action in this game.
Let me tell you, hit a charge rifle shot. We're going to see some heads rolling. Also a very good way to get those Evos leveled up, especially if you are on white armors at the moment. But you know what? It doesn't feel confident in it. I'll drop it off to someone else to do the damage for me. The 100 Thieves, who really struggled on their rotate last time. We saw them involved in numerous scuffles and went out pretty early. Well, at the moment, Dan, they're down in 20th position. And for 100 Thieves, I mean, the story going to Split 2 playoffs was, can they get to the final? They just missed out last time. They did that, but this time it might be about getting to Saturday.
Which is unbelievable when you look at the caliber of players on 100 Thieves. Unfortunately, that rampart barricade is going to be blocking your own teammate, but Sheila arrives to the party, but nothing is said. But the car hits harder than Sheila does.
Yeah, talking about what's in your pack. Well, what's in your back? It's bullets coming in from that car. As FC Destroy hold for now, they did lose Pinator though, so now they're going to have to try and hold this one out. And look at this, there's 2 teams swarming. Onyx Esports want a piece of this. They smell some free KP. Yuka Peredator is left on his own, but he does have the company of Sheila.
She is great company to have. This is not really an area you want to push, but you need to do it quickly because other teams are going to start to hear all this commotion. They're going to be joining in, and now Sheila gets overwhelmed. Rampart will fall, and FC Destroy are our 19th team. So go next. FC Destroy, our first 2 out, as all those Western squads have made their journey over towards landslide. The Eastern teams, however, are taking a little bit longer as expected. Where are J-Lings? Going to have a look. So J-Lings have actually been able to get past Monument this time. This has been a better rotation for them.
Elsewhere, speaking of Monument, speaking of Fragment as well, this is going to be North Epsion and the duo of Aurora. Having a little peek and a prod in each other, but Aurora with the comp they're playing at the moment, pretty sure they're playing Crypto Valkyrie if I wasn't mistaken. Which means that they're able to just use that drone to stay away from fights for as long as possibly that they can. Zane gets the knock though. And that's going to be one player falling to the floor. So Pioneers will pick up 1 KP, a little cheeky smile on the face of Naski. You know he's feeling good when you see that.
Yeah, the Pioneers recognized that they weren't going to be able to comfortably push through the vault, so they will back off and make sure that it's not going to happen. You want to go over towards Harvester. If you see another team you can potentially get that pick off of, then yeah, sure. You'll take the extra KP because Pioneers are, at the moment, in a brilliant spot. And they should be safe for the elimination round 2. But if you want to really secure yourself a W on the board to make it 2 for this series, they'll be very happy. As for Disguise, 28 points in the moment. They currently hold 10th position. They are the benchmark.
Well, air traffic control is going to be alerted to the presence of Disguised as they use the Skyward Dive. And I'll tell you what, maybe they want a little bit of a scrap here, or they're going to swing away at the last second from Fnatic. Probably a fight you don't want to take.
Yeah, Fnatic have really shown what they're made of in this lobby, haven't they? And it's, I think, what we expected to see early on in this tournament. They were slow burners, but I think a confident performance in Elim round 1 might make them have that belief again that they can take those fights. They don't have to retreat out of some of the engagements they were on day 1 and 2. Well, with a 68 points total, this has been very impressive.
Yeah, Fnatic, I think, just looking a bit more comfortable on the composition as well, allowing them to participate in those fights a little bit more equally. Disguised, who we did see a few moments ago, have completely retreated, but I tell you what, Fnatic aren't. Fnatic are stepping up on them right now, and Disguised have got to be so careful. Remember, this is the penultimate game. There's only one game after this, and Disguised are in 10th position, the final qualification spot to come back tomorrow.
And it's not really where you want to be in going into that last game. You don't want to be on the bubble. You want to be set. You want to be secure.
In the bubble.
You want to be out. You want to be above the bubble. You want to be blowing, but never mind.
I don't understand what the bubble is. Anyway, Fnatic still looking to put the pressure onto Disguised at the moment. And Disguised kind of trapped at the moment. They did use that Valkyrie to get out a few moments ago, and I'd be very hesitant, even if they did have some ult excels, to try and pop it to get out of that situation as well, with the aims that we know Fnatic have with those guns in their hands. Elsewhere on the map, we're heading now to the northern side of the zone, and Riddle Order, who are in 14th, just a couple of points, I think they're 6 points behind Disguised at the moment, who hold down that 10th place position.
Yeah, Riddle Order were having a look at Gambari Otazan, but they are going to be separated by a mountain once this ring comes in. But it's not much of the red that you have to go through if you want to try and go for a little surprise attack. We have seen a few of them so far this tournament, with teams not necessarily watching their backs and expecting the ring to protect them, but it doesn't always favor you when you do that. So we've got 4 teams at the moment who are in the next circle, but we have around 12 teams in this circle, so still a few more that have to make their journeys. Fnatic, Disguised, Pioneers, 100 Thieves, Interforce 36, and Pulverix still have to try and make their way in. And speaking of Pulverix, you saw them on your screen there, but it's E6 who have lost 1.
E6 lost 1. But Slayers and Tyler, the main fraggers for the team, still alive and kicking. 42 points here for Element 6. They are kind of the ones who are a little bit further out, a bit further ahead of that chasing pack, and should be pretty safe if they can put a few points on the board in these last 2 games. Gambare Ultrasan, though, they're holding down this little box inside of Countdown for now. Gen goes down as well. They should be safe, and they'll also be safe. As you can see, they have ring console information for the next zone too.
And Complexity just landed underneath them, but they're not going to be a major threat at the moment. What I'd be worried if I was Gambare Otazan is Riddle Order, if they want to take a peek at it, because with all that commotion going down and with all the gunfire that was happening, Riddle Order did actually, I saw on the map, have a little look around, but it looks like they didn't want to take it. As for Complexity, there's no reason for them to try and send this on the team above them, and to be honest, they don't really have the tools to do so unless they wasted Valkyrie's ultimate. So it's just a matter of survival for both of these squads, and it is Complexity at least holding the zone more so than Geo.
Pulverix, the team closest, but probably if it was to finish right now, be the first most disappointed team. 11th place for them, 28 points is what they have right now, but they have worked their way into landslide here, Dan, and this is a truck that might be very valuable towards the end game.
Yeah, it really could be, especially if we see a direct replication of what happened in the previous, although I feel like we might be heading a little bit further north than we did. But this Vault Tunnel was the place to be in the previous game. We saw quite a few showdowns, but it's L'Cite de France who picked it early.
Oh my.
And they're going for the ambush. They have set the trap, and they hope that someone's going to be walking in.
100 Thieves have to be so careful. L'Cite de France, patience is the name of the game here. They do not want to show here. Down one reload, one shield cell gets popped, and their plan is ruined.
And again, this wouldn't happen in a Sia meta. You wouldn't be able to get away with it. Your heartbeats would be scanned. Sure, a Bloodhound can give you a scan information, but you are alerted to it.
There's no scan character here for 100 Thieves. Hold your breath, everyone. Here's the ambush. Can 100 Thieves survive? They get away from it. But here comes the push now from Lecite de France.
Lecite de France get the scan as well. As you can see, the knock comes through onto Vaxlon. And now it's a 3 versus 2, making it 2 versus 1. And it should be an easy clean. The ambush was executed perfectly. Lecite de France are rewarded for their patience. But is there a third party? I can see in the horizon, Enter Force 36 are starting to creep up on this one. Are there going to be enough situations to reset?
Do the rats become the ratted? I'm not sure that makes sense, but you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. There's the Sky Nade, there's the scan, and now Aimbot goes to work.
Oh, wow, that's a big nade, though. Dark Veil goes down to give you the coverage, as now they can use the scan from the Bloodhound to give you that extra info through that Dark Veil. I don't think they were able to get that initial knock quick enough, so Lecite de France are able to scamper away and will be able to reset in this vault tunnel.
Ooh, that could have been, someone may say karma, some may say a little taste of your own medicine for Lecite de France, but for 100 Thieves, the worst possible result. Let's be real. I mean, when you're looking at the standings overall, 100 Thieves were bottom of the table coming into this game, Dan, and they go out inside that top 3. It's heartbreaking for them.
And the worrying thing is, you know, when we talk about what that placement point situation must have to be to get you into that top 10, they're going to need a victory plus a lot of kills if they are going to survive in match 8 and get into Olympic round 2. Now, Enter Force 36 are entering with force.
Oh, the shot's coming in from the R9. It's going to be Lecite de France who seems to be losing this fight. The hip fight from the scout is pretty darn clean, and so is the fight. Lecite de France lose their vault tunnel. They will be eliminated, but one still alive, I believe. The Sky's now on the edge of zone. Xenox and Lou with it all to do. Lou getting burnt by the ring. Can he survive? No, they can't. The Sky's eliminated. Fnatic eliminated as well. 15 squads remain.
You were right. One did escape from Lecite de France, but it's not going to go well and probably will fall soon as suddenly everything's blown into action here on World's Edge. It's MDY White who hold the high ground. Gibby Bubble goes down, and we'll see the Gibby Bombardment also start to fall and rain down on those that are below them.
Pioneer's been a nuisance, by the way, in this game. Beiyu's gone down as well. Aurora eliminated in the meantime while this fight takes place. Mingyu left on its own. Can he connect for one? That's yes. But is he going to be able to turn it into more? Looks for that shield swap. Not going to get it. Pioneers live. Newcastle will drag his friend back into cover and say, back on your feet, soldier. We've got more work to do.
Yeah, Pioneers now on 54 points. Elimination round 2, all but guaranteed for them. And that's what I expect from the Pioneers. You don't really want to be seeing anyone down in Elin round 1, but Pioneers, for some reason, seem to find themselves there tournament after tournament. But then they'll still get into that finals lobby, I'm sure of it. They're just one of these squads you expect to make that elimination run. Now, circle-wise, is going to be a little bit more north than we saw the finish earlier. It isn't going to be directly on landslide like it was prior. Instead, it's going to be on the mountainside where currently Onyx Esports hold.
One of the most iconic plays I can remember in Apex history was made on this zone. It was the Hardeki solo play to win a game for his squad. We're going to have to see if we see something equally as special from one of these teams. Gambane Otasan under a lot of pressure here, and it's Complexity who seem to be getting the better of them. However, there's the shield swap coming in from Yusna. Oh my god, Luna's gone down as well. He's a one-man army, surely. Not the 1v3 in this situation. It isn't going to happen. Monsoon clutches up. But he's then going to have to play this one out himself. 2 teammates were finished in that fight. Oh no, one's back up.
Luna's still there. Yeah, there was only one that went down, so that's good. At least still a chance then for Complexity, but the ring's starting to come in. Pioneers also just a 2. Nasky has fallen. But this is a good position to be holding right now. It's not going to win you the game from here, because you will have to move into the next circle. You can see Pioneers, they're not alone. There is Northeption right next to them.
Northampton in a really good spot as well. Bocek in their hands. Lecite de France gone. Kick eliminated as well. But what a moment this is for the team on the bottom of your screen. Jailings. We talked about how this is a rough rotate for them. They've had to travel all the way across the map from their drop spot. Well, they're involved in this end zone. They're in the top 9, but can you make it count, boys?
I really thought you were going to say they've travelled all the way across the world. And I was going to be like, most of them are from England at this point, but E6 are the ones who hold on top of the drill. And Jay Lings maybe gets sent on because of that black hole, but they're holding strong. This is such a horrible angle, by the way, when you're trying to play this rock. You're just terrified at all times someone is going to arrive very shortly above you.
I mean, Jay Lings just have to worry about E6. If they can clear this side of zone, then maybe they will have a walk-in just as this game starts to pick up. It's E6 who are on the high ground on the drill tower, though. Noises has to be careful. Has to make sure that they don't give away a free knock, because that is the invitation for someone to take that spot off of them. Pioneer's still alive, by the way. North Eption still alive. And Onyx Esports, who have come to life and are leaving it late here, not only are alive as a 3, Dan, but they got 8 bullets that could change this game as complexity will fall.
Red Lord are the next team that are under pressure. A few teams were taking pop shots up towards Jay Lings and E6 on that northern side, North Eption as well, doing their job to stay and survive, while Pioneers are just holding the position below them. But if Red Lorder can just force some of these team backs and play the rock on the western side, they'll actually be in a really good spot, because they'll have more cover than any other team in the lobby.
As Ender Force 36 once again, who are creeping up on this zone as well. They're forcing Onyx Esports away, but Onyx are holding them out of zone. J-Lings play under this tower. E6 above them for now. A lot of responsibility here on Nax as well, on that controller. Try and force players away, try and do entry damage, break some shields, but most importantly, do not get knocked.
J-Lings need to give themselves a chance here. They have to get a good 10 points from this match, going into match number 8. Confrontation, though, on the other side of the map. It's Onyx Esports, Enter Force 36. And it's a difficult one to try and navigate, but now, here comes J-Lings.
This is massive, this is E6 in front of them. If they can eliminate them, then they have a chance. They now control this northern side of the zone. But all of a sudden, Red Lorder see this fight break out. They're pressurizing them. They're pinning them in this corner. And oh no, J-Lings, this could be a nightmare for you.
And this is what I was saying about Red Lorder on this western side. You've got the extra coverage, you've got the extra elevation as E36 go down, and J-Lings might be next.
Red Lorder are sending it in the meantime onto J-Lings. They will be eliminated, but J-Lings force their way into the top 5 at least. Onyx Esports still alive, and I'm pretty sure they still have some shots in that Kraber.
And Onyx Esports starting to close that gap to the top 10. They're in 12th position at the moment. Pioneers still alive as a solo rat. So it's going to be Onyx Esports versus Red Lorder, with maybe a little influence from Sir Dell himself.
If Dell can win this game from this position as a solo, then he fully deserves the title of Sir.
Well, you mentioned the historic plays, the solo wins that we saw in this final circle. It's happened before with Hardeki. I wouldn't put it out of the realms of possibility.
I tell you what, there's an opportunity here, because these two teams, they're going to have a little bit of a scrap. And that might just open the door, depending on how long this fight takes, to finish. Raki moving in here, good damage coming through. Crusader gets the first knock, Yukio will fall. But where is Dell in all of this? Where are the Pioneers? There he is.
Dell gets involved, he sees where the knock's happening, he wants to get that extra little bit of damage. I tell you what, maybe there's still a chance.
Dell, he's going to step up. He sends the shield forward, but can he get into a position to close this out as the solo? I don't think he can, but for Onyx, what a moment this is. A huge win in the penultimate game in the elimination bracket. They move up into 9th place overall, and if it stays as it is, they will qualify for tomorrow.
They give themselves that chance to get into elimination round 2. It is not done yet, though. They would still be on that bubble. They would still be vulnerable, but at least now it doesn't have to be a must-win game going into match number 8. Instead, they can take it calmly. They can maybe take less risks, just try and survive to those later stages to pick up those placement points. But that could be massive for Onyx, sending them potentially into tomorrow's action.
You thought for a second there Dell had the chance to do it.
He did. He was given that
You're right,
opportunity.
actually. He did have the chance to do it.
It was a 2 versus 1, and with the Newcastle Shield, who can act sometimes as an extra player, but it was well played by Onyx. Onyx denied it with the way they just surrounded him there, denying any sort of opportunity.
Here's the stats from your first and second place teams. Onyx Esports with the win, 12 placement points, understandably so, 6 kills to go alongside it as well. But look at Pioneers, 8 kills they managed to put together in that game. And Dell, Sir Dell, I should say, almost pulling off one of the plays of the tournament to win it as that solo.
As the Disguised fans celebrate as well, everyone getting involved here. The crowd lapping this action up. Remember, you can join us as well. Tickets still available this weekend for the ALGS Championships. But how could you down a Watson?
E6 fans still believe as well, and why wouldn't they? They might have just done enough now to be back in that crowd tomorrow supporting their team. But this is the final circle, Dan. Onyx Esports, I thought for a second, maybe they didn't have the info that Dell was a solo, and decided to try and send it, thinking if we clean this fight up quickly, then maybe we can reset. But Onyx Esports, I talked about that Kraber. It's interesting to see if any shots were actually hit, or if it was the R9 that did the majority of the work.
And it's these kind of fights where composition really can make the difference. Having the Horizon on board, allowing you to play with a little bit of elevation. When I mentioned Riddleorder had that even just small amount of high ground to work with and with cover to work with, it's not a worry for Onyx, because as they push up the left-hand side, if they want to elevate themselves above, they can do so. And then having the Kraber, you know, it just gives you that extra bit of confidence. It almost feels like an extra player. The Dark Veil goes down to protect them from the other side, but look at the melt. Look at the prioritization from Onyx as they all focus the same legend first to get that initial knock.
And that's communication,
It
right?
is.
It's always communication that we talk about, and how important it is in the pressure moments of games to make sure that you are listening to your leader, that the call is made and you follow it. Focusing on that player is so important. But even at that moment, I feel like Shady getting that shield swap maybe wasn't the opportunity that maybe Dell could have seen as the W.
They both got a shield swap, which just meant it was going to be very difficult for Dell, as it's 18 points put on the board for Onyx, 17 for the Pioneers. And it should be enough for Pioneers. Onyx, they are there or thereabouts on the horizon of Elimination Round 2 as well, but perhaps a few more points needed. J-Lings, though, they give themselves 8 on set. That sends them up to 17 onto 23 points. So I hate to say it, it's gonna have to be a win for J-Lings in this next game, otherwise they're going home.
The bottom of our match 7 results in front of you as well. Disguise, no points for them. They will have work to do as well. 100 Thieves, though, Dan, I think the story for me is this might be the end of the tournament. It would have to be a win, and a big win for them to go through, as now we can show you the series results.
So 100 Thieves on 10. They need to get to, what, around 40? At the moment, the cutoff is 33. So let's say no one scored points above them. It would have to be a victory plus 11 kills to even reach 33. I mean, this is where 100 Thieves are probably out at this point. It would have to be kind of record-breaking situation for them to find themselves into the Elimination Round 2. For J-Lings, still doable. For everyone other than 100 Thieves, it's kind of still doable, but unfortunately for the 100 T boys, it's looking like this might be the end of the road.
Well, the fans of the teams and the players themselves who are definitely going to have a good night's sleep tonight. Fnatic, Pioneers, Enterforce 36, Complexity, Northampton, FC Destroy, E6 you would probably say are safe as well, as long as they don't drop the ball in this next game.
Pretty confident Fnatic, Pioneers, and everyone in the top 7, if not the top 8, including MDY White, should be good. I think there's only really 2 spots now that we're going to be fighting for, and the 2 teams that hold those are Onyx Esports and Riddleorder. They are the aim, they are the target. The likes of Pulverix, Area 310, Disguise, GO, Aurora, they all still have a little bit to do, but it doesn't have to be that drastic win, you know?
Well, the question is, can anybody show the ice like Onyx just did in that penultimate game? One more game to go here in Birmingham to find out who is going to be going to the elimination bracket and back here tomorrow. We'll be back to find out who that'll be right after this.
Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
We're back. Birmingham, once again the stage for the ALGS Global Series Championships. And you have joined us at just the right time. If you've been watching all day, you made the right decision. If you're joining us right now, it's not a bad one either, because we have one more game left to decide who is going to be progressing in this tournament, making it through to tomorrow, or who will be going home.
I don't like this part of the job. I don't like having to send people home. I know I'm not personally doing it, but I'm just involved in it. It feels a little bit dirty, but it has to happen. And at the moment, I mean, I think there's probably one team that's definitely going home unless they break records with the amount of points they score. That'll be 100 Thieves. Everyone else is still within a chance to find themselves in the elimination round 2. We have birthday chants going on, by the way, so happy birthday to whoever it is in the audience. There might be several of you with how these things work.
I will say the E6 fans have not stopped. They are jogging, jumping, making noise the entire time. And why wouldn't you? Because you can see on that scoreboard on your screen right now, alongside Dan Gaskin's huge bicep, which is just poking out next to it, that they're in a pretty strong position and looking pretty good as well. Led, of course, by the man in the center of that team, Case Winnie, leading the troops and looking pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, E6 should have done enough to be in elimination round 2. As more teams get eliminated throughout this game, it will become more dead certain of which teams we can definitely send through to the next round. But it's Onyx Esports, it's Riddle Order. They're the two teams that hold the most vulnerable positions right now.
Nervy moments for a lot of teams. Maybe some relaxed ones as well for the teams who have done the work. Onyx Esports, one of those teams certainly who will be feeling a lot more relaxed after that last game coming into what is our final game of the day here in Birmingham. The question still remains, who's going to be here tomorrow? Who's going to be watching from the stands? Well, we're going to know our answer as soon as we see that final champions banner of the day.
Well, the teams who need the biggest game, perhaps in their career, the likes of Go Next, Kick, J-Lings, Le Site de France are all down in the bottom half of this leaderboard, and if they are going to find themselves in any sort of position of elimination round 2, it has to be the biggest game. Speaking of the biggest ever game, 100 Thieves would have to break records if they are going to find themselves in elimination round 2. But if anyone's going to do it, you know they are capable of it with how they've played historically.
What's going on here then? Fnatic changing their drop spot and challenging Le Site de France. Wow. They have left survey camp wide open. And they are saying, Le Site de France, we want a piece of you.
And usually when this happens, it's because there is a contest on other maps when they were in other groups, and maybe they feel that as they move forward, Le Site de France could be a threat to one of their drop spots. So this is a power play from Fnatic, but this is what happens in Battle Royales. It's no real rules, it's usually drops are just gentlemen's agreements. We'll have to see whether the fight's taken, but it looks like Le Site de France are more than happy to avoid it right now.
Most of the action taking place involving the drone going past at the moment, as Yuka does manage to get, finally, that thing dropping on gold. Le Site de France not doing a lot.
Well, remember, if Le Site de France lose this fight, they're out of the tournament. Whereas Fnatic, they have nothing to lose. They're in first, they're guaranteed to be in the elimination round 2. And at the moment, it's a game of hide and seek.
Fnatic look like they've given this one up for now. Le Site de France. Maybe not quite giving it up. My voice is not as good as Monsoon's, but you can forgive me for sounding a little bit nervous there. A little bit of vibrato came through. Save our teammate. I think that's the call.
I mean, yeah, two of them are good.
Uh-oh.
I think they've just about got away with this one, have Le Site de France, so they can play the game of Apex Legends. Right, Circle, we get a chance to talk about it. We're going a little bit more further north now, between Skyhook and Survey Camp and the train tracks that are in between them. That's where the Circle's going to be finishing, roughly.
There is still that one player from Le Site de France in that tunnel, by the way. Extremely nervy moments, but talking about the Circle, Dan, I think it's very appropriate to do so, because one team who for once actually has pretty good prior to it is 100 Thieves. And we mentioned how this is going to be a very tough, extremely tough road for them? Well, they've changed the composition as well. They want to get aggro. Revenant reworked and maybe revitalizing 100 Thieves. A massive moment for them as they take this fight. Scurry looking through the window, peeking through the window. It's going to have to back up here because Vaxel and Onmu have already taken damage. Every bullet that is taken by 100 Thieves is going to hurt. Let's see what the comms are like. Let's see how they're sounding.
I'm above, I'm above.
I'm with you.
Outside on me. Scanning.
I'm weak. I'm talking to you.
I got fucking 100 pump.
Right is up.
The first bit was brilliant. The second bit just not good enough. And I think just not good enough is summing up the performance from 100 Thieves so far, Dan.
And the final remaining player just left to retreat, tail between legs. And 100 Thieves' hopes to be in this tournament. Quickly passing his Element 6 will be involved in engagement, but you can see in the kill feed 100 Thieves eliminated. And not just from this game, but from the entire ALGS Championships.
Tyler trying to chase down this damage being done. E6 on the prowl. Doesn't get the knock. No, he doesn't get the knock. And now it's all up to the IGL. The captain, K20, flying in, but can't quite connect yet. Gets one. And this ain't over yet. What a spray that is. The hit fire's pretty good. Oh my God, Swinny almost turns it around. But that will be the end of the day for E6. But good news for them is they'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, E6 with the points they've been gathered, they should be absolutely fine.
I was going to say, probably.
Probably, but they look good with the amounts that they have been able to get. They're above that 42 points threshold that I was talking about. But it is just a rough estimation. Now, MDYY on around 43 points. They should also be okay. And the fans now getting very excited to see MDY back on the screens with a chance to take a fight here.
At the moment, they're inside a very good position for the end game. Outside of the building, you can see a couple of teams starting to stack up as well. It's going to be FC Destroy who are having a little poke and a prod. Smiles on the faces of Yuka Paradator, which means they're feeling pretty comfortable in their position as well. You wouldn't be smiling if you're outside the top 10 right now, let me tell you that.
It's a horrible position to be in for a lot of these teams, but even worse for those who have dropped on the southern side and still have a job to do. One of those involving
You can almost hear it like echoing through the caves, you know?
Echoes through Birmingham, really.
It does, actually.
But I'm really hoping that Disguise can make it forward, because I want to hear more Duke chants as the tournament goes on. But it could end here and now in this game if they do not find points. Maybe don't even get to that final circle, at least to the late game. There's a lot of teams who are very close to just getting those points that would send them into the elimination bracket. But for those who are lower down in the leaderboard, we mentioned it has to be a win. And to put yourself in that spot where you know you need a victory can make you make some very difficult decisions at times. And you saw the decision for 100 Thieves. It had to be a change of composition, and it didn't work out for them.
Now, this is a fascinating development on the map at the moment. Disguise to a 13th place at the moment. Well, they're stuck. Well, the Jailings, I should say, are on the other side of Kick, who are in between the two teams. So if Kick can't escape and all of a sudden a little bit of damage is done on either side, then things get interesting, because we might have a situation where Disguise and Jailings, who are currently just outside Survey Camp, might meet up, and there isn't enough room for both of them, you would think, in that top 10 as we jump over now to Fnatic.
It's still the party poopers, Fnatic, looking to try and ruin the tournament of Lucina France. How long has this hunt been going on? There's Aimbot is now the last remaining player. And unfortunately, Lucina de France, head in hands, as that's the tournament done. ALGS Championships finished as Lucina de France are eliminated.
And here come Pioneers as well. They're putting some pressure on. Let's Go Next, who are in 19th. They might be the next team, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to if they do not come out of this alive and kicking. Pioneers, who are doing so much damage to a lot of teams, I would say, in the lobby at the moment, especially in that last game. They took out so many people who needed those big games.
So Go Next should have a comfortable position for now, as long as Pioneers don't try and push them. Oh, I said it was going to be comfortable, but they got spotted. I thought maybe Go Next weren't going to be. But it's Pioneers that are near them. Jailings also are going to have eyes on this one as well. I mean, this is a treacherous journey through Epicenter to try and arrive towards the zone, so the dive fail is going to go down to give you that extra bit of cover.
Pioneers decide to retreat from this by the looks of things. Nasky calling off the push.
Well,
and here they are then, Jaylings.
I mean, we've already had one shot. 100 Thieves was definitely not in the script to get eliminated in round one. Jaylings, another team that is expected to get to the further stages in this tournament. I was talking about stats before this series started. World's Edge, they were the best World's Edge team in this lobby, but it has not got going for them. 8 points in the previous game, though.
The big thing here for Jaylings is this is a lot of the first 90% of the game we see from them repeating themselves once again, right? They get into what a lot of people might consider to be a god spot, to be an end zone position. They get set up, but are they able to hold it and convert on a top 5 to a win? If they can, there's a chance. Another team who are hoping everybody below them dies first. It's going to be Riddle Order. Riddle Order at the moment, they hold the last qualification spot. Oh, Yukio goes down! It's a grenade from the heavens from Nasky, and now all of a sudden they're in a shambles! They're trying to do what he can to keep themselves alive. Oh, he gets a 1-6 with Riddle Order out! And for everybody else in the chasing pack, that could not be better news.
Go Next now getting involved, and Go Next maybe sensing a real opportunity here to pick up some KP and start to have their miraculous comeback and maybe survive and get into that elimination round 2. All those teams seeing in that kill feed that Riddle Order were eliminated now can start to believe. Pulverex 1 point away from top 10, Area 310 2 points away from top 10, Disguised 3 points away from top 10. Riddle Order, it is unlikely that they will be making it to elimination round 2.
Pulverex in a really good spot under this bridge as well. It's a pushable position. Sometimes you can get caught out by a Horizon ult being thrown down that way, so you're going to have to play extremely well to hold down this position for an elongated period of time. And Elstar certainly going to help that, but here go Disguised. 13th place at the moment, 30 points up until this point. But that black hole doesn't give them any value at the moment, and having invested so much down, it looks like they're just going to retreat from here.
But it was the fight that you were talking about on this northern side, and it's quite an important one. Kick are holding them out, but look at the congestion here at Survey Camp. Complexity on top of Jaylings.
This could be the fight, Dan. You heard the Beast of the Hunt has been popped, and I'm pretty sure Complexity want to try and pressurize this building here. Jaylings have to force them away. Jaylings have to do that damage, and that's going to do for them. Noises also gets the knock. Noises has a Kraber.
But Jaylings won't want to push out of this building. They won't want to push the advantage because it's too exposed at the moment. At least Noises can get that information though. Drone goes out. Assess the area. What's going down? Are we being threatened by anyone else? And they should know for now they are comfortable, but they cannot take advantage of that knock.
Well, zone information is going to hurt Jaylings pretty soon. Even though they have that Kraber, Dan, everybody who thought we are going to Survey Camp is going to have to move south.
This is a horrible zone, by the way. You know I said it's a treacherous journey in Epicenter? Well, that's where we're going. The western side of Epicenter is Aurora. Their tournament might be coming to an end shortly as well. Opting to play as a 2, and perhaps going home as a 2 as well. 28 points at the moment. They would need something big here. Oh, Rain, what can you do?
Well, he's dancing. But unfortunately, I think it might be a dance down into the dirt. Aurora eliminated not just from the lobby, but from the tournament as well.
Survey Camp, the place to be at the moment, but every one of these teams will have to leave at the same time once we get to the further circle. Disguised, a few points away from top 10. It's nervy times for a lot of these squads now. You don't want this to be the last game of Apex Legends that you play on this main stage.
Pulverex still in that position under the bridge. Kick inside of the train tunnel. Disguised inside of Survey Camp. When that zone closes, everyone who's in Survey Camp might have a little bit of a shock. It's going to be a rotation to decide if you're back here tomorrow, as Pulverex have to hold down this spot.
And what a fight this could be. Pulverex in 11th versus Onyx Esports in 9th. Now Onyx are very close to securing elimination bracket, but if they were to go down here, there is still a chance they could be surpassed. So that doesn't really surprise me that both teams not particularly eager to take the fight. And these lobbies, they're so difficult to navigate because you have 5 teams who are all trying to avoid fighting just to get to that late game. As Area 310 done, eliminated, they will not be qualifying for elimination round 2. They were close. They were on 30 points. But as they fall, it means their tournament ends.
13 squads remaining. FC Destroy up in the train station at the moment. It's Enterforce 36 in 3rd place overall, who only have aimbot to rely on, but their work is done, Dan. They have 61 points overall. You would imagine they should be safe, but look at this! It's Jailings! It's Jailings out of nowhere who are trying to clean this up, and JMW taking so much damage. Can it survive? No! Jailings down to just 1. Nax as a solo has his team's life on his shoulders. Jailings fall, they will be eliminated.
At the end of the road for Jailings, it was Fnatic on the other side who are playing with so much freedom and flow at the moment. They've managed to get the banner. They could potentially get back up to a full 3 with a respawn beacon ahead of them, and Yuka's got a Kraber as well. I would not want to be in the path of Fnatic in the moment because they don't give a crap where you are. They are going to be happily pushing on you because they're already guaranteed. They are just damaging everything in their wake.
Pioneer's just eliminated as well. Their job is done. They will be with us tomorrow. Onyx Esports looking to solidify their position in the top 10. Racket's already got 1 knock. And Shady's trying to do a little bit more damage. They're dancing around the cat wall at the moment. Onyx control this side of the zone. The black hole will be destroyed. Chan has come down from Fnatic. The balloon might be a big play here if you can get past this bombardment that's coming down from the skies. And even though Crusader has fallen, Onyx are holding on the moment. Shady to get that shield battery popped, but MDY White inside of the top 10 might be about to win a fight that solidifies it.
MDY White want to solidify it. Disguise also trying to stay alive to keep their possible journey. Onyx Esports eliminated. Have they done enough? They are one of the bubble teams. Disguise have lost 1. Xenox and Duke trying to work as a 2 here.
Duke needs to go huge, but Duke's just going to go down, and now Xenox falls, trying to survive, knowing the placement points might be enough for him. 7 squads now remaining. Xenox is trying to drag his team into tomorrow's tournament.
It's still doable, even as a solo.
Top 6.
6 teams remain. Xenox has to wrap for Disguised if they want to be in elimination round 2 tomorrow.
There's a Crypto in the lobby though, and he is going to be scanned. He doesn't want to pop these cells. He doesn't want to give information away. But now comes the push, and Xenox gets help from above. He's getting help from above here. He might be able to get a shield swap in this position. The ALGS are here. Xenox will fall. Disguise are eliminated as we're down to our top 4.
Disguise will not do enough. That KP could have been everything for them. But it's currently Pulverex who hold that 10th position, being followed by Ganbare Artisan, who still have a chance as well here. As a 2, as the Dark Veil comes up.
11th place as it stands. Ganbare Artisan. 4 squads remaining. Oh, 109 spray from down low coming in from Dogma. But as a duo, do they have enough? Do they have the nerve, Dan?
4 teams alive, only 1 of them guaranteed to be in elimination round 2. This is the fight here for Ganbare Artisan against Pulverex. Pulverex holding 10th position at the moment. If Geo take them down, they give themselves the best chances ever. But they're taking so much damage as the ring now gets involved.
Dogma the last player alive here for Ganbare Artisan. Can they win the fight? It's a 3v1. They will go down as well. As Pulverex might have now done enough. Ganbare out.
Oh no!
Pulverex down as well. Oh my God! Go next! Go next!
Go next have a chance. If Go Next can win this fight, they can send themselves into elimination round 2. It's FC Destroy that they go up against.
Go Next are locked in. Go Next by name. The question is, will it be Go Next tomorrow? Slab Bambino. Missy as well. Win a 3v3. You'll be back on this main stage tomorrow, and they've got them pinned.
They've got an L-Star to work with as well. Utility looking all good, and they've got shield swaps. This is looking good for Go Next. Remember where they were? They were in 19th place.
Bambino has gone down though and Slab now. Looks for that shield swap. Can he even the numbers though? Bambino falling. The free kick from Slab. Can't get that knock and it's a 2v3. It's a 3v1. FC Destroy will win it. Go Next had the opportunity of a lifetime and quite simply couldn't get over the line.
He gave himself the best chance to Go Next. They were all the way down in the bottom three going into that game. Unfortunately, they will fall short, but what that means is Pulverex secure their spot in Elimination Round 2. Onyx Esports secure their spot in Elimination Round 2. And in the previous top 8, as we expected, the likes of NDY White, E6, Northeption, E36, Complexity, Pioneers, FC Destroy, and Fnatic will all be competing tomorrow at the ALGS Championships here in Birmingham.
What a day it's been. It's only the first round of elimination and we've still got 2 days of action ahead of us. The LGS Championship is not disappointing, I have to say. It's heartbreaking. The 3 guys that you can see on your screen right now, Go Next is quite simply was a 3v3 to go through to the rest of the tournament tomorrow to keep your dream alive. Wasn't to happen this time around, but I'm sure when they're back on that main stage, they'll put that right.
It's always a tough one when you know that winning that fight would have guaranteed you through. It wasn't a case of any sort of, tiebreaker situation. It would have been them going through on points ahead of Pulverex. As I'm sure that was equally as difficult for Pulverex watching on, just hoping that that engagement was lost. But everyone has fought so hard here in Elimination Round 1. There are so many teams who are so close to getting there, but unfortunately we have to say goodbye to 10 of them.
We do, but I think it's also, quite rightly, we need to start celebrating who's going to be here tomorrow, Dan. And I've got to say, for all of the carnage, all of the heartbreak that we just saw in that lobby go down, Fnatic, for me, the standouts, just looking dominant, looking like that fighting composition, that fighting team that we know they can be. I've got to say, an incredible day of action here. 8 games that you certainly won't forget. That's going to do it all from us up on the Cast Move crew. Congratulations to the team who made it through to tomorrow. Rain Day, it's time for you to take it away.
Thank you so much, fellas. Congratulations on a fantastic showcase of your talent there on the stage, but also, of course, your players as well, and for some fans that a little disappointed on some regions, and of course, very, very happy with the result. Their team has made it through now to the next stage. Of course, the team's going on. Welcome back to our analysis presented by PlayStation Tournaments. My name is Rain Day, joined by Spider Tip, Zephyr, and Graceful on the desk. Guys, this was a big one. I mean, we obviously saw the end of this match that could have led to Go Next actually making it, and that's a tough thing to stomach, Tiff, when you have the opportunity. Not that it could have been, it was there, and now you got to know that one fight could have changed your destiny.
That is a really hard way to put it. One fight could have changed your destiny, and it's always 1 point, it's always one fight, and to be that incredibly close to it and have that slip away, that has got to be hard to stomach. We're sitting up here on the desk watching that end game engagement, and all I hear is Graceful just there in the mix of it. He's like, come on, Slab, just come on, just pull it together. And honestly, Graceful, I can't wait to hear your breakdown of that.
I think, yeah, Graceful, it's time to talk about what worked, because we heard you here on the desk when we weren't live, talking about what happened, don't peek this. It ended up not going well. Walk us through that final circle, which ended up going the way of FC Destroy, and what maybe FC Destroy did well to create that mistake from Go Next.
So FC Destroy's comp in general, as you can see, is Newcastle and Rampant. They are a super tanky team. They take space wherever they want to. They wait for the cooldown, waiting for from the queue of the Newcastle to take space essentially, and just bit by bit taking space. They get to play however they want. If they get to triple swing off a Newcastle queue or a ramp, they just pretty much win immediately. That's just how strong it is. But the main thing that we can take away from this as well is that Go Next split in this fight. So they walled, Slab try to flank aggressively, which is this is the whole thing I'm talking about synergy and timing. I don't know how their comp was during this fight. but this flank actually messed up the timing, and they got a pick off. I think it was Bambino, yeah, and they got a pick off Bambino. They're on the exact same flanking route right here on the screen, and now they just have all the space in the world, and they just pinch them essentially. So it's really, really important when you play together as a team that you are all on the same page. You need to be calming that. I'm flanking. If they're even looking at you, you need to scream, and I'll come back. But Kraber is a power weapon, and right there it goes to show how strong it is. One peak, one head, and it's over.
As you take the final game there and go next right behind them, it will not be enough. We already were told that by Dan and Mark as they finished their cast. Gambare Otosan had a lot of guys. They were all fighting from a pretty similar position. Unfortunately, when you look at these bottom 10, not the game you want in Game 6. This is where you absolutely needed to perform. Some of these teams, though, having the privilege of already being secured. Some teams would be that would be the 20 last place here as we take a look at overall series results. Your top 10 on the left side will be going to tomorrow. Our elimination bracket round 2. They, of course, will await the bottom 10 of our winners finals, which will also be playing tomorrow in order to see which 10 will make it to Championship Sunday. But from 11 to 20's effort, we must say goodbye. That is the end of their tournament run. That is the end of their championship. That's the end of their year.
So many of these teams, especially for the EMEA region, going to be saying farewell here in the bottom 10 as a whole. And some surprises, too, especially out of entities like Riddle. We got to see a lot of them, and especially how they were fighting during that group stage. And what we discussed earlier on the day did come true here. They weren't able to truly find their setup in some of these later games, and as a result, fell short.
Unbelievable performance from APAC, though. When you look at that top 10, you see a 7, I believe, from APAC as well. A couple of EMEA and one North America in complexity who had a great day. But Pulverex, wow, you see the fans there. They're excited. It was just a little bit ago that Pulverex had to do this at championships a year ago and do it with only 2 players. That was Aurora's task this time around. They couldn't do it. Pulverex now with 3 has made it into the next round. I'm so excited to see what they do, and I'm sure APAC is excited as well. But as we take a look to what happens in the days to come, we have to always honor what has happened earlier in the afternoon, and that's where we hit at the end of our show, our Monster Energy MVPs. All right, let's kick it off with our analysts who have all selected a player throughout this 8-game series. Highlight tip, I'll start with you. Who's your Monster Energy MVP?
Right, for me, the Monster Energy MVP is going to be none other than Monsoon from Complexity, as if his curated music video and song I didn't know Monsoon could sing, so just alone for that, I guess that was the hype and momentum that he needed, or maybe it was King Chi behind him providing him some extra motivation to just really power through the elimination round 1, and they started off so strong, remained consistent. Now, I don't know if it was because they were uncontested as they were through the group series, being able to claim Cenote Cave from Aurora, who elected to land somewhere else as a duo, really led Complexity to have a quite unique series, because had they been contested, they might not have been with the same results. Regardless, Monsoon boasting 14 eliminations, 14 assists, and a boon of damage to hold. They will be advancing on to the next day.
No doubt, one of the best performances from Complexity we have seen all year. One of the most important as well. And you can tell this day felt like it probably checked a personal checkbox for Monsoon, as you can see how hype he was when that music video played. Probably been waiting to showcase that. He's shown his food, he's shown his cooking, but not that yet. What a talented individual. They'll be heading to play tomorrow. Zephyr, though, you had another idea of who you thought stood out for your Monster Energy MVP today.
It's been a slow climb for them, but for KCP, I look towards Zane as one of the biggest figureheads for why we see this team succeed today. And to highlight that, I'm going to go back and look at this composition. Obviously, they're rocking with the Catalyst Newcastle, and for anyone who obviously doesn't know, this is as defensive as it gets. It allows for so many options, but where it falters is a little bit of rotational ability, especially in that micro game, and that's where Zane comes in so many scenarios. Being on this horizon, he is the bridge, the gap that allows this roster to find tempo where in situations it would be cornered here. On top of that, he is also the delivering hammer here for the KCP roster. He tops out on the damage charts in today's elimination round at over 8
1,000 damage. It may not be the kills, but you could not have gone anywhere in this lobby without being at the hands or the threat of Zane. KCP saw the star earlier on this year, decided to pick him up after his performance, and it certainly was a good decision. They are still playing. They have a trio as well, who have at times struggled getting all of their players here. Very graceful. All those two stories, good to talk about. I know you've got one yourself for your Monster Energy MVP.
My Monster Energy MVP goes to none other than the guy who internalized UKF. This guy got the movement everybody's been dreaming about, right? Not only does he have movement, he's actually #1 for KD in this series by 3.50. That's more than most people have been ranked. It is crazy how well he's expanding in this tournament, how he's popping off, right? Not only that, he also is tied first for knockdowns. That means he's actually in first, doing the damage, taking the heat. But he's also not taking that much damage. He knows how to straight drop properly, even against other players. He knows how to straight drop, maybe minimize the damage taken, but that's staying so aggressively and hard to hit. He's buying so much time for his teammates to join in on the fight. He goes in, takes the heat, his teammates cleans up. He's doing so well.
Well, when it comes to Fnatic, I guess that description for their fans in a great way because of the passion that we've seen from APAC North, whether it's watching and having watch parties in Tokyo. They have been a mainstay. We didn't expect to see them in the elimination bracket round 1. You see them in the top 5 situations in the final, but now their journey to get there has continued, and they've taken at least the first step to climb that ultimate mountain. Tomorrow will maybe be a different part of their story. You can tell that the Fnatic boys have found their way back to what feels comfortable and how they like to play in these lobbies. We'll have to wait and see, though, if that ends up being the difference. But we all know for now the difference from these players they have made on their teams. Those have been your Monster Energy MVP for today's elimination bracket. We'll be sure to have some more tomorrow. But speaking of tomorrow, we don't want to get there yet because we still got City's Day back. And man of the hour, who we've just been talking about, Fnatic, the winners of this group, and the man with the movement, UKF, is standing by.
Ray, thank you so much. We are here with one of the greatest players in the history of the game, Yuka. Yuka, I know the game today didn't go as well as you wanted, right? But you guys came in today and absolutely destroyed the competition. How does that feel?
もちろんゲームは思ってたように進まなかったかもしれないんですけれども、もう完全に制するまでだった今の状況を話してください。
まあそうですね。まあ嬉しい気持ちがまあ第一なんですけど、うちも皆からもちろん個人で今回挑んだんで、まあルーザーズ落ちちゃって悔しいっていう気持ちでなんかずっとモヤモヤしてます今。
Of course, I'm happy that the feeling comes first, but like it feels like we didn't do the last of the winners. So I'm in between the two feelings, to be honest with you.
That's totally fair, man. Life, up and downs, but you guys handled it extremely well. So going into tomorrow, do you guys have, without revealing any secrets, do you have a sort of game plan that you guys are implementing tomorrow to make it to the championship?
もちろん人生だから上がり下がりがあると思うんですけれども、それほど戦略はもちろんお話しくださらなくて結構なんですけれども、明日のチャンピオンシップに向けて何かこのような戦略とかこういう計画をしているとか、そんなことはちょっとお話しいただけますか？
そうですね。今日はまあ気持ちがうまくいこうかなというのがあるので、しかもこの調子のまま、ウィナーズ上がった10チームが落ちてくるんですけど、下位の10チームが、敵は少し強くなるとは思うんですけど、今日の調子のまま挑めればいいなと思います。
Well, I feel that like we did it very well today, so I'd like to continue with this vibe. I know that everybody's going to do very well next time tomorrow as well, but I just want to keep up with this vibe.
I love that. I mean, that's the game plan. You got to keep the vibes up. So listen, you have fans that have traveled all the way from Japan to come support you and your teammates. How does that feel? Does that make you guys better? No, you have so that dedication from your fan base.
たくさん日本からはるばる応援にいらっしゃっている方がいらっしゃるんですね。ゆかさんのこともそうですし、チームのことを応援してくださってるんですけれども、そのようなファンの声援というのはどうですか？力になりますか？
そうですね。なんだろうな、現地に来て、来てくれてないファンの方からの、SNS 上の、応援のコメントだったりとかもちろん力になりますけど、やっぱり現地で大きい声でもうヘッドセット貫通するぐらいの声で応援していただけてるので、やっぱり力になりますね。はい、非常にありがたいです。ありがとうございます。
Absolutely. Although that, we get lots of energy and strength from supports from people who are not here with us. They are so supportive people here, and then I even hear their cheers through the headset. So yes, they give us lots of energies and strength. I'm really, really grateful to them. Thank you so much.
That's passion. That's dedication. I love that. Well, that's all that we got here with one of the greatest players in the history of Apex. Yuka, congrats again. Best of luck tomorrow. I will see you in the championship. Rain, send us home.
Thank you, Peeps. Thank you, Yuka. Thank you, Fnatic, for your fandom and support. Yes, one of the greatest players Apex Legends history. There's no doubt about it. Yuka and his team have performed more than most players who have ever even played Apex, and you have to give credit where credit is due. Lovely to hear a little bit of the thoughts about it. And Tiff, you kind of knew they were going to have a good performance today.
Almost as if I expected them to win this series. Almost as if, we were like, hey, we believe in Fnatic, and just like that, they proved us right.
That hurts even more on this side of the desk with our predictions. I'm hurting too. It's okay. Something as true someday.
But final thoughts from you as well. I mean, even though these teams that you didn't pick, is that kind of what you're carrying into tomorrow? A bit of a surprise with who's going to be joining us into that elimination bracket round 2?
It's interesting because now we move on to a more challenging lobby. Something that doesn't get brought up is the fact that there is a little bit more freedom when you come into elimination round 1. When you are challenged by things like contests, that no longer exists. You get a little bit more of your own choice. Now, hopefully, with the tempo and success behind 10 of these teams, they will once again reintroduce themselves to the high heights, even if they're going to have to fight twice as hard for it.
Great. So looking to tomorrow, I want to get your thoughts. He's right. He brings up a good point. How does the game change? Is you now, in your next elimination bracket, are not going up against elimination bracket teams. You're going up against winners teams that just not maybe had a great day or a great series. And now they're playing again to get back to where they feel they should have been. How does that change?
I think from a pro player perspective is that they are definitely having more freedom in a sense of okay, we get to breathe a little bit. But they are still like I said, the whole tournament you're kind of going through phases of making your macro, fitting every group. Now you're in lowers, now you gotta make it up, and now you're in uppers, now we're fighting new teams, and you're almost remaking your macro this whole time. It's a whole tournament, and you have to adapt. That's the strongest thing to do, and you're still non-stop adapting. I think people will have a hard time because you have the teams that came in early into winners bracket feel really strong. They're we are the best here. Whereas you have a lot of ones who are a little bit close. We're gonna step up a little bit, and the pacing will be very different from just with that mentality of we barely made it in, and then the mentality of also once again match starts on. I think people's momentum will be defined by their first 2 games, and if you're having a rough game the first 2 games, it starts to get real sweaty, actually.
So what you're saying is time.
Yeah.
Going for tomorrow's schedule, so you get to know when that is, because we do have a lot of action tomorrow. This was a pretty light day. We started at 4 p.m. Well, we're starting at 12 p.m. BST tomorrow, because we don't only have winners bracket, but then we have the elimination round 2. The winners bracket will send our top 10 winning teams to Championship Sunday. They will wait and watch round 2 while the That's right. Oatter has a Resorts World. I encourage you to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, we had to send 10 teams home tonight. Not fun. Obviously, an entire year of work, it has ended here. They will be watching whether they basketball, maybe take some flights, completely be with their family.